The City of Cape Town is responsible for the efficient running of our city. We provide water, electricity, sanitation and refuse removal, and basic services to informal settlements where we are able to do so. Our transport and traffic services make sure you can get around. We're responsible for the Metro Police and law enforcement. And every day we maintain the city's infrastructure and facilities. We do our best to provide housing opportunities to those who qualify. And we give rates and services relief to those who qualify. We also make sure fire, rescue and emergency services are well run and maintained. We maintain over 3,575 city parks. We make sure Cape Town's 104 libraries are well resourced and maintained. And we care for many sports and recreation facilities, including community centers, sports fields, beaches, and more. We're responsible for 35 early childhood development centers, as well as social development and early childhood development programs. We're making the internet more accessible by providing Wi-Fi to underserviced communities. The city also provides primary and environmental health care. We maintain 10 blue flag beaches and maintain 85% of Cape Town's coastline. We manage development to ensure buildings are safe and sustainable and that development happens properly. We also manage 23 nature reserves and various nature areas. The City of Cape Town, making progress possible together. The City of Cape Town is responsible for the efficient running of our city. We provide water, electricity, sanitation and refuse removal, and basic services to informal settlements where we are able to do so. Our transport and traffic services make sure you can get around. We're responsible for the Metro Police and law enforcement. And every day we maintain the city's infrastructure and facilities. We do our best to provide housing opportunities to those who qualify. And we give rates and services relief to those who qualify. We also make sure fire, rescue and emergency services are well run and maintained. We maintain over 3,575 city parks. We make sure Cape Town's 104 libraries are well resourced and maintained. And we care for many sports and recreation facilities, including community centers, sports fields, beaches and more. We're responsible for 35 early childhood development centers, as well as social development and early childhood development programs. We're making the internet more accessible by providing Wi-Fi to underserviced communities. The city also provides primary and environmental health care. We maintain 10 blue flag beaches and maintain 85% of Cape Town's coastline. We manage development to ensure buildings are safe and sustainable and that development happens properly. We also manage 23 nature reserves and various nature areas. The City of Cape Town, making progress possible together. The City of Cape Town is responsible for the efficient running of our city. We provide water, electricity, sanitation and refuse removal, and basic services to informal settlements where we are able to do so. Our transport and traffic services make sure you can get around. We're responsible for the Metro Police and law enforcement. And every day we maintain the city's infrastructure and facilities. We do our best to provide housing opportunities to those who qualify. And we give rates and services relief to those who qualify. We also make sure fire, rescue and emergency services are well run and maintained. We maintain over 3,575 city parks. We make sure Cape Town's 104 libraries are well resourced and maintained. And we care for many sports and recreation facilities, including community centers, sports fields, beaches and more. We're responsible for 35 early childhood development centers, as well as social development and early childhood development programs. We're making the internet more accessible by providing Wi-Fi to underserviced communities. The city also provides primary and environmental health care. We maintain 10 blue flag beaches and maintain 85% of Cape Town's coastline. We manage development to ensure buildings are safe and sustainable and that development happens properly. We also manage 23 nature reserves and various nature areas. The City of Cape Town, making progress possible together. The City of Cape Town is responsible for the efficient running of our city. We provide water, electricity, sanitation and refuse removal, and basic services to informal settlements where we are able to do so. Our transport and traffic services make sure you can get around. We're responsible for the Metro Police and law enforcement. And every day we maintain the city's infrastructure and facilities. We do our best to provide housing opportunities to those who qualify. And we give rates and services relief to those who qualify. We also make sure fire, rescue and emergency services are well run and maintained. We maintain over 3,575 city parks. We make sure Cape Town's 104 libraries are well resourced and maintained. And we care for many sports and recreation facilities, including community centers, sports fields, beaches, and more. We're responsible for 35 early childhood development centers, as well as social development and early childhood development programs. We're making the internet more accessible by providing Wi-Fi to underserviced communities. The city also provides primary and environmental health care. We maintain 10 blue flag beaches and maintain 85% of Cape Town's coastline. We manage development to ensure buildings are safe and sustainable and that development happens properly. We also manage 23 nature reserves and various nature areas. The City of Cape Town, making progress possible together. The City of Cape Town is responsible for the efficient running of our city. We provide water, electricity, sanitation and refuse removal, and basic services to informal settlements where we are able to do so. Our transport and traffic services make sure you can get around. We're responsible for the Metro Police and law enforcement. And every day we maintain the city's infrastructure and facilities. We do our best to provide housing opportunities to those who qualify. And we give rates and services relief to those who qualify. We also make sure fire, rescue and emergency services are well run and maintained. We maintain over 3,575 city parks. We make sure Cape Town's 104 libraries are well resourced and maintained. And we care for many sports and recreation facilities, including community centers, sports fields, beaches and more. We're responsible for 35 early childhood development centers, as well as social development and early childhood development programs. We're making the internet more accessible by providing Wi-Fi to underserviced communities. The city also provides primary and environmental health care. We maintain 10 blue flag beaches and maintain 85% of Cape Town's coastline. We manage development to ensure buildings are safe and sustainable and that development happens properly. We also manage 23 nature reserves and various nature areas. The City of Cape Town, making progress possible together. The City of Cape Town is responsible for the efficient running of our city. We provide water, electricity, sanitation and refuse removal, and basic services to informal settlements where we are able to do so. Our transport and traffic services make sure you can get around. We're responsible for the Metro Police and law enforcement. And every day we maintain the city's infrastructure and facilities. We do our best to provide housing opportunities to those who qualify. And we give rates and services relief to those who qualify.
Testing.
We also make sure fire, rescue and emergency services are well run and maintained. We maintain over 3,575 city parks. We make sure Cape Town's 104 libraries are well resourced and maintained. And we care for many sports and recreation facilities, including community centers, sports fields, beaches and more. We're responsible for 35 early childhood development centers, as well as social development and early childhood development programs. We're making the internet more accessible by providing Wi-Fi to underserviced communities. The city also provides primary and environmental health care. We maintain 10 blue flag beaches and maintain 85% of Cape Town's coastline. We manage development to ensure buildings are safe and sustainable and that development happens properly. We also manage 23 nature reserves and various nature areas. The City of Cape Town, making progress possible together. The City of Cape Town is responsible for the efficient running of our city. We provide water, electricity, sanitation and refuse removal, and basic services to informal settlements where we are able to do so. Our transport and traffic services make sure you can get around. We're responsible for the Metro Police and law enforcement. And every day we maintain the city's infrastructure and facilities. We do our best to provide housing opportunities to those who qualify. And we give rates and services relief to those who qualify. We also make sure fire, rescue and emergency services are well run and maintained. We maintain over 3,575 city parks. We make sure Cape Town's 104 libraries are well resourced and maintained. And we care for many sports and recreation facilities, including community centers, sports fields, beaches and more. We're responsible for 35 early childhood development centers, as well as social development and early childhood development programs. We're making the internet more accessible by providing Wi-Fi to underserviced communities. The city also provides primary and environmental health care. We maintain 10 blue flag beaches and maintain 85% of Cape Town's coastline. We manage development to ensure buildings are safe and sustainable and that development happens properly. We also manage 23 nature reserves and various nature areas. The City of Cape Town, making progress possible together. The City of Cape Town is responsible for the efficient running of our city. We provide water, electricity, sanitation and refuse removal, and basic services to informal settlements where we are able to do so. Our transport and traffic services make sure you can get around. We're responsible for the Metro Police and law enforcement. And every day we maintain the city's infrastructure and facilities. We do our best to provide housing opportunities to those who qualify. And we give rates and services relief to those who qualify. We also make sure fire, rescue and emergency services are well run and maintained. We maintain over 3,575 city parks. We make sure Cape Town's 104 libraries are well resourced and maintained. And we care for many sports and recreation facilities, including community centers, sports fields, beaches and more. We're responsible for 35 early childhood development centers, as well as social development and early childhood development programs. We're making the internet more accessible by providing Wi-Fi to underserviced communities. The city also provides primary and environmental health care. We maintain 10 blue flag beaches and maintain 85% of Cape Town's coastline. We manage development to ensure buildings are safe and sustainable and that development happens properly. We also manage 23 nature reserves and various nature areas. The City of Cape Town, making progress possible together. The City of Cape Town is responsible for the efficient running of our city. We provide water, electricity, sanitation and refuse removal, and basic services to informal settlements where we are able to do so. Our transport and traffic services make sure you can get around. We're responsible for the Metro Police and law enforcement. And every day we maintain the city's infrastructure and facilities. We do our best to provide housing opportunities to the
10 o'clock, thank you. So I'd first like to welcome all councillors and officials linked to the MS Teams virtual meeting, as well as the media and members of the public connected via the live YouTube link. I call now for a moment's silence. Thank you. Councillors, I'd like you to all please now register via the electronic registration, which will come into the iron box. The link will be posted a few times to enable you to register. However, the officials will also check the MS Teams participants list to confirm your attendance. And we'll try and tag it at the top of the iron box. As soon as we can verify that we're correct, we will proceed. Councillors, we are correct, so we're going to proceed. We move to section 2, and that's applications for leave of absence. Madam Chief Whip, are there any leaves of absence?
Yes, thank you, Speaker, and good morning, everyone. The apologies for today's speaker is as follows. Councillors Anstey, Fourie, McMahon, Nyamakazi, Twig, Berg, Woodman, Adonis, Magungwana, McKeena, Higam, and then on sick leave is Councillors Dudley and Nchweza, and early departure for today would be Councillor Bressler. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. Councillors or chief whips of other parties, if there's any leave of absence which has not been read out, please put it in our iron box and check. We will check that in fact it's been sent to the chief whip's office. All right. We then move on. I now call on the Executive Mayor to deliver his budget speech. Mr. Mayor. And then we will proceed with the debate on the items in accordance with the list.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Can you just confirm to me that I'm audible and visible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, great. Fellow councillors, Madam Speaker, colleagues in Team Cape Town, unfortunately, last night we bowed out of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, but we did so honorably, and Bafana Bafana made us all proud, having qualified for the knockout stage for the first time ever. Congratulations, Bafana Bafana. While we all wish you could have gone on in the competition, we are very proud of how far you made it. Bafana always plays in front of sold-out crowds here in Cape Town. Cape Town loves our national team, and we look forward to hosting Bafana Bafana in Cape Town again soon. May Bafana's best performance in a World Cup ever inspire all of us to aim higher and believe in our ability as a country to do great things. And colleagues, speaking of aiming higher and doing good and important things, today is an important milestone in this term of office, as we vote to adopt the final budget of the term. This budget makes it possible for us to set our goals and our ambitions for Cape Town higher than they've ever been. I really can scarcely believe that we are at this stage of the term of office already. What a pleasure and a privilege it has been to serve with all of you, each councillor in this council and this team. And let me say how much I look forward to being able to take Cape Town forward with all of you still further. Madam Speaker, in one simple summary, 5 years ago, there was much of this city's infrastructure grid that was under severe strain. The warning lights on the dashboard were flashing bright orange. 5 years later, we have changed that trajectory. Every single one of our major projects are either under construction or done. Many of them were stuck in the mud for years. But when they are all finished, Cape Town's basic essential infrastructure will be in the healthiest state that it has been in a long time. It will be ready to cope with the growth of our city. It will be ready to provide hundreds of thousands more jobs, because when cities work, people work. And in some cases, we will even return to a position where we have a bit of spare capacity, a position that no other place in the country is in. These 5 years, we did not run away from our problems. In fact, we dove into them and into fixing them. We have built a city where sewer spills are already down 30%, where our flays are getting cleaned and restored, where big new public transport projects are being built to shuttle tens of thousands more passengers a day. We have figured out how to get affordable housing projects through the pipeline faster and in greater numbers than ever before. And what a joy it was to see some of those now being handed over for construction. These things, all of these things and much more, this is why we call this our City of Hope, and this is why we call this our City of Hope budget. Now, as you know, this is the second iteration of this budget, following the court challenge to the method of determining fixed charges. That means that we've had a very extended period of public comment, and I want to thank everyone who has contributed to this process. And we are proud to table it now for final adoption today. I have often said, and particularly in the last month, in the wake of the court challenge, that we cannot afford to make cuts to our capital budget. And we have worked very hard and carefully to ensure that the budget table today contains no reduction whatsoever in capital spending. We've made the case that it would be unforgivable to cut essential capital projects, pipe replacement in communities, the expansion of our MyCity bus project, the improvement of sanitation and water facilities across the city. All of those things are essential, and that it is unforgivable for some to have argued that these things should be cut. So I hope that all of you, including those who previously argued that those things should be cut, will welcome the fact that in the process of making the final last adjustments to this final draft of the budget, our overall capital has actually slightly increased still further by just 50 million rand. But at least it is going up and not down, as some would have it go, which would be terrible for our city. This means that none of our infrastructure projects are being compromised or put on hold. And that is very important. As I've said, none of them are optional. All of them deliver better dignity to the residents of Cape Town. All of them deliver better services to the people of Cape Town. They are not optional. Yes, of course, we say often we are out investing South Africa's other cities combined on infrastructure, and we are proud of that. But even though we are investing more than them combined, we are still only doing just enough to stay ahead of the pressure in our city. So in fact, we should be looking for every way in which we can do much more. And so long as I go around our city and visit communities and see for myself and feel for myself and speak to residents myself to hear the infrastructure problems they still have, I will know there is no way we can justify any cuts to our major infrastructure programs. We must always be looking to do more for Cape Town and take Cape Town forward even further. So if we don't do that, then Cape Town will slide in the same direction as all of those other failing South African cities. And we don't want that. We want success for our city, not failure. In fact, one of our foundational vows, one of our inspiring or motivating purposes 4.5 years ago when we started on this journey together is that we made a vow that would never happen here. You see the collapse and the failure and the reversal in those other places. We said that would never happen here. Our promise to Cape Townians then is the promise that is still in place now. We will do whatever it takes to take Cape Town forward, to avoid the tragic collapse of infrastructure and services that we are seeing across our country. And to keep that promise, we have to keep our capital projects and our capital budget intact and on track. And that is what we are voting for today in Council, Cape Town's progress, taking Cape Town forward for all. That is what this budget enables. As anyone who spends any time in our townships or poorer communities can attest to, we still have a long way to go in infrastructure investment. Yes, I'm proud of the fact that we've reduced sewer spills by 30%. We should all be proud of that. But friends, let's be clear, there is much more to do. We cannot rest until we've extended more dignified services and ensured that everyone in Cape Town sees the benefit and feels the benefit of our city's extraordinary success. But there's something else too, colleagues. This is not only about Cape Town. If you go back to the first budget that we introduced 5 years ago, we said this is about showing something to South Africa. Those other cities that are steadily falling into disrepair and dysfunction must and can be turned around. Places like Joburg and Durban are great South African cities, and we believe deeply that it is not too late to save them. They can be saved. And so what we do here in Cape Town matters to them too, because we can show them what it takes to build a functional city with opportunity and dignity and more jobs for more residents. And so we can demonstrate what is possible for our entire country, what is possible for South Africa. I know that many South Africans have become despondent about our country's future, and it's easy to understand why. But here in Cape Town, we're on a mission to prove that the reason for that despondency, the neglect and the decay and the regression, those things don't have to be like that. They can be better. They can be turned around. With the right people, the right values, the right plan, the right government, any city can be turned around. Indeed, our country can be turned around. We have all of those elements in Cape Town. We have incredible people right across the city, professional, ethical, committed people who are absolutely committed to our mission. We have a workplace culture built around organizational values that bring out the best in our team and keep us honest and accountable to our residents. And we have a plan for Cape Town that looks ahead, decades into the future. And then we support that plan with a budget today that builds towards that future, so that when we arrive there at a city of 6, 8, and eventually 10 million people, we are not surprised by the pressures we face. We are ready for them, and our city can continue to thrive. That is what sets Cape Town apart, and it can be done elsewhere. Now, colleagues, today I want to take a moment to bid farewell to exactly one such professional that I've just spoken about. In about 48 hours' time, Commissioner Robbie Roberts will retire from the city of Cape Town. I've asked him to log on to this meeting, and I sincerely hope that he is on. And I hope that he's watching us now so that we can pay appropriate honor and tribute to him. There is so much that I could say about this truly extraordinary person and colleague. And I said quite a lot of it last week at his formal retirement ceremony, which was a beautiful ceremony where he formally handed over his command. I've worked with many people over the years in many different contexts, but I regard it as an absolute privilege to have had this opportunity these last 5 years to work with this man. He is an exemplary public servant. He is committed to excellence above all else, and he does not compromise on that commitment. He does not compromise for himself, and he does not compromise for others. He holds himself to the highest standards and expects others to do only what he himself is prepared to do. Friends, there is a long road ahead to fix South Africa. I know and deeply believe that we can fix South Africa, but it is never ever guaranteed. It's going to take a lot of hard work over a long time. And for many of us here, it will be the work of most of our lifetimes. But if we are going to do it, we need many, many more people like Robbie Roberts. Cape Town is a better place for what he has done. Our Safety and Security Directorate is the most professional law enforcement agency in South Africa, bar none, because of what he has built. No other person is as deserving of his retirement as he is. And I wish him and his family very well in the years ahead. On behalf of the residents of Cape Town, I want to thank you, Commissioner Robbie Roberts, for your service to our city and to the public. Enjoy your retirement. Now, colleagues, I want to return to the topic of the budget, and specifically what we are doing in this budget to protect lower income families from the impact of the court ruling. This was an extremely complex and difficult undertaking, and I want to thank our budget team for the hard work that went into finding these tricky and technical solutions. You will recall that I've made clear, and it should have been absolutely clear and obvious to all the parties involved in that court matter, that if you cannot determine fixed charges on the basis of property value, that meant that we would have to revert back to the water meter size to determine fixed charges for water and sanitation. And we'd have to move the citywide cleaning charge back into the rates bill. But by definition, those changes would place a bigger burden on poorer and middle income households and will lower bills for higher value properties. That was always obviously going to be the impact. Now, this severely restricted our ability to cross-subsidize services in the metro. And so the budget we're adopting today includes several new measures to counteract that impact and shield precisely those households from any significant increases. We are now extending the rates-free portion on residential properties from the existing first 450,000 Rand in value to the first 620,000 Rand of property value. And this will also now apply to all homes up to 8 million Rand in value, up from the previous threshold in 7 million Rand in value. In that way, you can see that we are trying to protect the lowest value properties and their owners, the families that live in them. And we are trying to look after that middle class portion in the city who may live in relatively valuable homes, but whose incomes have not risen at the same pace as their property values. We have tried to introduce these measures to look after precisely those families. We've also previously raised the income threshold for pensioners to qualify for rates rebates up to 27,000 Rand monthly income. And importantly, that is regardless of their property value. One of the most common misconceptions I hear from pensioners around the city is, I can't apply for a pensioner discount because my property value is too high. That may work like that in some other cities, and we know it does, but it does not work like that here. You can apply for that pensioner discount no matter what your property value is. It is dependent on your monthly income. I've also received a lot of correspondence from pensioners around the city whose income falls just above this 27,000 Rand threshold. I really take those letters seriously, and I thank those pensioners for writing to me in very good faith. And we will definitely look to expand the support to protect more pensioners in the next budget. It is our firm intention to protect pensioners from the impact of rising values of homes that they have sometimes lived in for decades. It is absolutely never our wish to see pensioners facing difficulty in their old age, even if they have saved for their retirement for their whole lives. So we will be doing that in the next budget. But I do want to point out that even at 27,000 Rand, this is by some distance the largest qualifying income threshold in the country. And this also includes Lifeline electricity, a benefit which no other city offers for pensioners anywhere. So we are proud to be able to support a budget today that not only keeps every part of our infrastructure plan intact, but also manages to shield lower and middle income households from the impact of the court's ruling on our ability to cross-subsidize. But colleagues, I'm also equally proud of something that seemed to get lost in much of the recent reporting on our budget. And that is the fact that Cape Town offers by some distance the lowest property rates of all the metros. And Madam Speaker, with your permission, I'm just going to share a slide actually, because I want to show the comparison with the other metros now that everyone's budgets have been tabled. Let's just quickly go on to the next slide. Could you just confirm that you can see that comparison now,
Yes,
Madam
we can.
Speaker?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So there you can see the comparison of the metros who have completed their budget process by now. And I'm very proud that Cape Town still offers the lowest increases and the lowest property rates of all the metros. Looking at South Africa's 5 big metros, Cape Town, Joburg, eThekwini, Tshwane, and Ekurhuleni, we see that our city also offers the widest qualifying criteria and benefits for indigent households and pensioners. Cape Town's free water allocation is the highest of all the cities, and it is the easiest city in which you can qualify for lifeline electricity than anywhere else, especially again for pensioners. We also now offer the highest rates free benefit, now rising to 620,000 Rand, as I've just discussed. And that is well ahead of the next best metro, which is Johannesburg, which offers a rates rebate of just 350,000 Rand. That means that we are approaching double the next metro. And to top it off, Speaker, when comparing the newly adopted budgets for each metro, as you see there, we see that the overall monthly household bill is the lowest in Cape Town, even when you adjust for higher property values. Now, Speaker, much has been made in recent days of the city's unqualified audit status. I must stress the 20th unqualified audit for Cape Town in a row. We should expect nothing less in an election year, and much downright fake news has been generated around this. Some of it completely disconnected from any facts at all, just pure fake news and misinformation. While at one level, I'm not surprised that political parties will try to misrepresent the facts in this year in particular, I do expect they should at least read the details and show a smidgen of integrity. Cape Town retained our unqualified audit status. In the last 16 years, the city has got an unqualified audit with no findings only 7 times. 3 of those 7 were in this term of office. And I want to just show that as well. This is a summary of the audit outcomes of all of the metros. This is straight from the Auditor General's presentation. You can see there right at the bottom, Cape Town has had 7 unqualified audits with no findings over the last 20 years. Well, this in fact only shows the last 16 years, but it goes back actually for 20 years. And 3 of those 7 have been in this term of office. That is still more than any other city, and we have had an unbroken run of 20 unqualified audits. Where you see those purple outcomes there at the top, those are qualified audits. Where you see a pink one, that's even worse. That's an adverse audit there in Buffalo City in 2010-11. And where you see a red one, that is a disclaimer of opinion. That is where it is so bad that the Auditor General cannot even do an audit. That is in Mangaung twice in the last few years. I must say there you can see the absolute regression that's taken place the last couple of years in the city of Tshwane. So I was most amused that at least one of the parties trying to make political hay out of this was the same party that currently runs Tshwane. I wouldn't be so brave to make noise in Cape Town when that's their record in Tshwane. So you can see the point of demonstrating this, Madam Speaker. The city has had 20 years of unqualified audits. We have retained our unqualified audit. This time, the Auditor General made only non-financial findings. Very important. Again, this is being misrepresented by these parties. In other words, the findings do not relate to money at all. They only raised 4 specific points about process, not finances. Now, we don't necessarily agree with those process points, but they are just that. They are process points. Some examples, like the nature of the documentary proof relied upon by a bid committee for one company's proof of registration with their particular bargaining council. A second example is whether a bid committee was entitled to take into account a bidder's prior track record of failed work with the city, now that they had started operating as a new and different legal entity. These are the kind of technical nature of the findings that the AG made. The fact remains that the city of Cape Town is the best run, cleanest government in South Africa. And every resident can always feel assured of our absolute commitment to integrity in the management of public funds. And this has once again been confirmed by another, and again, I repeat, our 20th unqualified audit in this year. Now, colleagues, Madam Speaker, most importantly, here in Cape Town, you not only get the most honest government that cares for and looks after public money, and not only do you get the best value on your monthly account, the lowest monthly bills in the country and the lowest increases this year as well, you also get a city that actually works, the most important thing of all. The only city that works and will continue to work decades into the future, thanks to the investments that we are making contained in this budget. We have come a long way in this term of office, and we have much progress to show, and we can feel immensely proud of the progress we have made. But our work is far from done. It is never done. So long as there are still people living in difficult living conditions in our city, so long as unemployment is still high, so long as there are still infrastructure problems and shortcomings in our city, we have work to do. With the adoption of this budget today, we take another big step towards fulfilling our mission of building a city of hope in Cape Town for everyone who lives in our city. And this is the way that we are going to take Cape Town forward for everyone. Madam Speaker, lastly, I just want to assure all Cape Townians, every Cape Townian, that the city's Metro Police and law enforcement officers are extremely well prepared for any public disruption and violence that may occur this week. I am confident that it will actually be business as usual, and I encourage all Cape Townians to go about their daily business as usual. Let us not be intimidated in any way by those purveyors of hate and division and those who promise only chaos and violence, including unfortunately, some parties here in our own council who are part of stoking those fires in our country. Let us show the very best of our city. Let us show the best of Cape Town and what it means to be a generous, warm-hearted Cape Townian. And also, let us show the best of our country. So I think that it will be business as usual, and I encourage everyone to go about their business as usual. But I assure all residents that Cape Town is ready, and we will do our utmost, do everything possible to maintain the highest standards of law and order this week. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. We'll move on to the item SPC 3. Okay, before I do that, I'm just going to read the items agreed. And that is in volume 2, item SPC 7. Are there any parties that wish to raise a comment in regard to the above item which is agreed for non-debate? Okay, if you are, just please put it in the IM box, but then we'll move on there. Okay, so we're going on to item SPC 3, and the recommendations appear on page 14. The first councillor to speak to this is Councillor Nazmi Jacobs from the NCC. Councillor Jacobs, you are unmuted on this side. So unmute yourself on your side. All right, we'll move on. The second speaker is Councillor Meyer from the Freedom Front Plus. You're unmuted, Councillor Meyer. You may continue.
Good morning, Speaker. Am I audible?
Yes, you are now. You may continue. Thank you.
Speaker. Good morning, Speaker, Executive Mayor, and Honourable Councillors. Today, the Freedom Front Plus raises its concern about the City of Cape Town's proposed budget. This is not just figures on a page. These figures and these decisions will be felt in every household and reflected in every monthly bill. What we decide in this chamber is real. It affects whether families can afford to stay in their homes, whether small businesses can keep their doors open, and whether residents feel the voices matter in their city they help sustain. Speaker, our biggest concern is this. Residents raise their concerns in the comments about cost and affordability, yet the process has continued as if those voices do not count. This is not meaningful public participation. It is unfair and it damages trust in this council. A responsible budget must balance growth with compassion, and it must respect the people who fund the city through rates, taxes, and service charges, especially when they are being asked to pay even more. We therefore call on the city to return to the objections in good faith, to explain clearly what will change and why, and to revise this proposed budget to reflect the realities faced by the people who keep Cape Town running. I thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll go back to Councillor Jacobs. Are you going to be speaking on, we'll unmute you and Councillor Manar. Which one are you going to use? Which computer are you going to use?
I'll be using my speaker, my
You
desk,
can use yours.
laptop
All right.
speaker.
Councillor Jacobs, computer. Thank you. You may continue.
Morning, Speaker, morning, colleagues. Speaker, the NCC has concerns regarding the 87.79 billion draft budget. The mayor boasts about money invested in service delivery and infrastructure upgrades to make Cape Town better. Today, the NCC asks better for whom? Because our current communities has not yet experienced the so-called better. The mayor said different parties come with rumors and allegations. Today we will bring proof, Speaker. The mayor boasts about money spent on infrastructure, but yet those monies means it does not reflect in our communities, where we encounter daily sewage overflows. And when it does get the much needed service it requires, sadly it's just temporary, Speaker. It's only for a day or two. Then the very same drains overflow again, like Montrose Park, the farm, and Woodlands, where residents encounter daily sewage overflows. The mayor boasts about the winter readiness program, but yet many communities experience severe flooding, whereas residents' houses has been so severely affected, with no assistance coming from the city to aid those who has endured those horrible floods. Mayor, your DA councils voted in favor of electricity increase and fixed tariff charges. Today, not everyone can afford to buy electricity. Some have to cook over fire because they cannot afford the current cost of electricity. Just last week, we assisted a pensioner. Her electricity has been disconnected for 10 months. And when it was reconnected, she was billed 1,700 rand for wire charges, even though her electricity was disconnected. How do any resident pay for a service that they did not use? How do we expect a resident with the income of a government pension of 2,2 to pay a 1,700 cost for a wire charge voted in by your DA councillors? The mayor speaks about the benefits of lifeline electricity tariff, but at this present moment, Bo-Kaap indigent approved pensioners find themselves paying a home user tariff instead of a lifeline electricity tariff. None of Bo-Kaap indigent approved residents receive free units. Why weren't the pensioners of Bo-Kaap electricity tariff switched to lifeline? And why are they still paying a home user electricity tariff? Mayor, this draft budget speaks of economic growth and job creation, but it's your very own JP Smith who are enforcing a bylaw on our local traders and killing the very economic growth within our colored communities. This draft budget speaks about economic development, so NCC asks that greater emphasis to be placed on our informal traders, economic development, and all future raids and confiscation of goods be seized as it negatively affect many families who are depending on trade as it is the only source of income. How much money has JPs spent on safety and security, yet none of us are safe, neither are our families. So again, money must reflect in our communities, not only on a piece of paper. So at the end, Speaker, this draft budget has its advantages and disadvantages. And it does not mean that the draft budget went through public participation process. It is in the best interest of the public. More than 90% of the public comments are against this very same draft budget. When the people speak, you, the DA, must listen, because come 4th of November 2026, you, the DA, will need the people, the very same people the DA councils voted against in favor of electricity increases, water increases, and these fixed charges that are forced on residents. Long live the spirit of no surrender. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. The next speaker will be Councillor Claassen from ARA. Councillor Claassen.
Thank you, Speaker. Am I audible?
Yes, carry on.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Morning, colleagues. Speaker, I struggle to understand how this report can honestly conclude that the objectives of this public participation process were actually achieved. Now, how can you claim success when only 2,789 people attended engagement meetings in the city with over 5.1 million residents? There's only approximately 0.05% of Cape Town's population, roughly 1 out of every 1,900 residents. Madam Speaker, 2,789 people cannot possibly speak on behalf of 5.1 million Capetonians. That's the minority speaking for the majority, and we cannot allow that in a democratic state. It's therefore impossible to conclude that this process reflects the views of all the residents of Cape Town. If anything, these figures prove that the public participation decimally failed to capture the voice and the cry of the overwhelming majority of our people. Now, this administration tells us the public was heard, yet 2,567 of these written comments were submitted, and including the 722 comments on finance alone. Now, that should have been a deafening alarm bell that residents are crumbling under the weight of increasing rates, tariffs, and the ever-rising cost of living. Instead of listening, this report simply dismisses the overwhelming majority of those concerned and recommends no visually or meaningful changes. So it is clear that the people spoke, but this administration do not listen at all. Now, the irony is impossible to ignore, that this very city, DA, was taken to the court and lost on the fixed water and sanitation charges and the citywide cleaning tariff. The courts have spoken. The court found those charges to be unlawful. I say again, unlawful. Residents stood up for what they believe was right, and they won. But yet, what followed? Instead of humility and meaningful engagement, this budget sends the message that if residents challenge the city, they will simply pay somewhere else.
Thank you very much, Councillor Eugen.
Good morning, Speaker. Am I audible?
Yes, continue. Thank you.
The Freedom Front Plus expresses concern that despite receiving more than 2,000 public comments on the City of Cape Town's budget, the City of Cape Town failed to provide a detailed breakdown of the objections received. Many of the comments show strong opposition to the proposed increases in the property rates and tariffs. One resident even commented, "This DA is not what we the people voted for. You are greedy like globalists and the wheel will turn. Then it will be too late for the DA." This comment is not the view of a conspiracy theorist, Mr. Mayor. It reflects a growing public awareness that the DA-led city is advancing a globalist agenda influenced by organizations such as the World Economic Forum, which famously quoted in 2016, "You'll own nothing and still be happy." Last month, an ex-user asked the Freedom Front Plus leader, Dr. Mulder, about the party's affiliations with these organizations. Dr. Mulder replied that the Freedom Front Plus takes its mandate from the people who voted for them and serves only their interests. In conclusion, the Freedom Front Plus calls on the dear City of Cape Town to listen to the residents who elected them rather than yielding to unelected organizations who have brought more harm than good to many countries around the world. South Africans has the world-class expertise. It is time for the City of Cape Town to put its own people first.
Thank you, Councillor Alderman Moodley.
Good morning, Madam Speaker.
Yes, you're audible. Carry on.
Aldermen, councillors, the media, and the public. Madam Speaker, the 2026-27 draft budget was tabled for public participation from 31st of March to 30th of April 2026. The City of Cape Town initiated a comprehensive public participation process to inform and engage residents in accordance with the Chapter 4, Section 16(1)(a)(4) of the Local Government Municipal Systems Act 2000, Act 32 of 2000, the Municipal Finance Management Act 2003, Act 56 of 2003, the Municipal Property Rates Act 2004, Act 6 of 2004, and the city's public participation standard operating procedures. I thought I would do that preamble for our colleague, Councillor Majusa. Following the conclusion of the initial public participation process, the Western Cape High Court handed down a summary judgment on 30th April 2026, declaring the citywide cleaning, water, and sewerage fixed charges unlawful and invalid. As a result, the city published proposed amendments to the March 2026 tabled budget in terms of Section 22 of the MFMA. A supplementary public participation process was subsequently conducted from 27 May to 10th of June 2026, during which residents and stakeholders were invited to submit comments on the proposed amendments. The process commenced with a media release announcing the public participation period, inviting resident stakeholders to submit comments by the prescribed closing date. To ensure accessibility across all geographic and digital contexts, 46 sub-council and ward-based meetings were held between the 7th and 25th of April 2026. At these meetings, the 2026-27 draft budget was presented in a simplified and accessible manner to ensure that communities were informed of developments across the metro and within their local areas. Meetings were conducted in person, virtually, or in hybrid format, and included participation by ward committee members, community-based organizations, interested groups, and residents. A total of 2,789 participants attended this meeting. A total of 2,084 comments were received across the various public participation platforms. Most submissions were received via email and the city's website, with most comments relating to the proposed tariff increases, impact on pensioners, some of them that actually purchased their property some 30 to 40 years ago, which our mayor just alluded to in his speech. Comments were also received regarding the spraying of toxic pesticides to safety and security of our neighborhood, provision of adequate housing, economic opportunities, and generally the well-being of our citizens. Positive comments were also received from South African Property Owners Association, SAPOA, regarding our infrastructure investments, though they raised concern on sustainability. Also suggested that tariffs for non-residentials should be highlighted. Feedback received during sub-council and ward-based meetings primarily focused on requests for localized, area-specific projects. All submissions and comments were forwarded to the relevant directorates for consideration and, where appropriate, incorporation into implementation plans subject to available resources. Going forward, Madam Speaker, our portfolio committees, our Section 79 committees, will continue to look at the comments received, look deep into our current policies, and find ways wherever possible to take into consideration of the concern raised by our residents. I must emphasize that compiling a budget of 88 billion is not an easy task. In concluding, Madam Speaker, as a caring city, we take public comments very seriously and believe that we could use our resources at our disposal more effectively. For example, we have 116 ward committees comprising of at least 10 members representing the different sectors in their wards. That gives us 1,160 members of the public or ambassadors multiplied by at least 5 organizations per sector. That's 5,800 organizations who could engage and comment not only on our budget, but on all policies that the city presents for comments throughout the period. We sincerely thank our residents for their comments. Madam Speaker, in terms of the comments by the opposition in this morning's address. The Freedom Front Plus talks about affordability, unfair, not meaningful comments, objections in good faith. I think we covered that in our address, and the mayor's covered that also. We take them serious. Councillor Jacobs raises the issue that we are not a caring city. Councillor Jacobs has a narrative that he will bring one individual case, and he serves in my portfolio committee. And I always ask him, bring the issue to us, to the portfolio committee, and we will deal with it. Send the issue that you have a problem with a pensioner directly to me. I keep saying to him, pensioners should be indigent. They shouldn't be paying. And I need to know why is that pensioner not indigent. Therefore, Madam Speaker, I move the recommendations on page 14.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Councillors, you have a recommendation on page 14. Those in favour of the recommendation? Thank you. Those against the recommendation? Kindly put it in the iron box. Thank you. Good is against. Al-Jamaa is against. I don't know. PA is against. Others against. All right, the recommendation is carried. Councillors, for the record, I'm going to read out the total number of councillors present in the meeting. Cape Exit against and Freedom Front Plus against. Okay, so the total number of councillors present is 210. And we have from the ANC 40, from the DA 126, from ARA 2, from ACDP 3, AIC 1, Al-Jamaa 3, CCC 6, Cape Exit 1, CNC 1, DI 1, EFF 8, Freedom Front Plus 4, Good 9, PA 4, PAC is not in attendance, UDM is not in attendance, and the URM is 1. So those are the numbers that we will take for the record in terms of the vote. Thank you. We move on to the next item, which is item SP4. This is the separate budget document, and the recommendations appear from pages 3 to pages 16. Councillors, given that this item relates to the adoption of the final budget, a majority is required. Okay, so now the first speakers here are the Mayor.
My speech applies, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Then we move on to the second speaker, which will be Councillor Oliver.
Madam Speaker, good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, you are, sir. Continue.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to address this council on the budget, specifically safety and security. We need to remember that safety and security is not only the responsibility of the city, but also the responsibility of the South African National Police Service. And at the onset, let me state, Madam Speaker, that the United Independent Movement supports continued investment into safety and security of our residents. Every person in the city of Cape Town deserves to live in a community free from fear, where children can play safely, businesses can operate with confidence, and families can enjoy peace in their neighborhoods. The proposed allocation of approximately 6.8 billion rand to the Safety and Security Directorate demonstrates that this council recognizes the importance of protecting our communities. Investments in law enforcement, fire and rescue services, CCTV expansion, specialized technology, drones and emergency response capabilities all have an important role to play in creating a safer city. Madam Speaker, while we support this investment, we also believe that every budget must be accompanied by strong transparency, accountability, and measurable outcomes. Our residents are entitled to know that every rand collected from ratepayers is being spent wisely
and effectively. They deserve confidence that these investments are making a real difference in reducing crime, improving response time, strengthening law enforcement, and protecting vulnerable communities. We know regular reporting to Council on the performance of these programs, including the effectiveness of the CCTV systems, drone deployments, specialized units, and other technological investments. Clear performance indicators allowing both councillors and the public to measure whether these initiatives are achieving the intended results. Madam Speaker, technology is an important tool, but it should always complement the dedicated men and women who serve on the front lines. Strong partnerships with neighborhood watches, community policing forums, youth intervention programs, and visible policing remain essential if we are to achieve lasting improvements in public safety. We must also ensure that resources are distributed fairly so that communities most affected by gang violence, organized crime, and illegal firearms receive the support they urgently need. As councillors, our responsibility extends beyond approving budgets. We must also exercise effective oversight, monitor performance, and ensure that public funds deliver tangible benefits to every community across our city. Madam Speaker, the United Independent Movement supports investing in safer communities. At the same time, we believe that transparency, accountability, and measurable service delivery must remain at the heart of every expenditure.
Thank you. Councillor Ahmed from Al Jamal.
Thank you, Speaker. Good morning. Speaker, Executive Mayor, fellow councillors. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. At the offset, I acknowledge the officials and staff to work diligently to prepare this budget. The efforts are appreciated. As this council term draws to a close, I also thank every councillor. While we have differed politically, it has been an honor to serve alongside you in representing the people of Cape Town. However, Speaker, our responsibility today is not to congratulate ourselves. It is to honestly assess whether this budget responds to the needs of our residents. For the first time in my 10 years as a councillor, this city has failed to obtain a clean audit. That should concern every member of this council. Audit findings are not merely accounting issues. They reflect the state of governance and financial oversight. Equally concerning is the continued irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure. Every rand lost through the poor planning, procurement failures, or administrative negligence is a rand taken away from housing, infrastructure, basic services, and community safety. Cape Town's ratepayers deserve accountability. Identifying irregular expenditure is not enough. There must be consequences where misconduct is found. Lessons must be learned, and these failures must not be repeated. Without accountability, good governance becomes little more than a slogan. Speaker, despite successful budgets, thousands of families remain without dignified housing. At the same time, billions have been invested in safety and security, yet many communities continue to experience gang violence, serious crimes, and fear. Residents do not measure success by how much equipment is purchased. They measure it by whether they are safer. We must also acknowledge the ongoing frustrations of residents at the Buka flats. Years of recurring water disruptions and inadequate engagements have left many feeling ignored. Access to water is a basic human right, and leadership must be visible when communities are in crisis. Finally, Speaker, a caring city must never lose sight of its humanity. During recent severe weather, vulnerable people, including women and children, awaiting repatriation, required emergency humanitarian assistance. Compassion and the rule of law are not mutually exclusive. We can uphold both. We thank and acknowledge Gift of the Givers, Mothers for Gaza, relevant religious institutions, and many other stakeholders who assisted with humanitarian aid. Speaker, Cape Town deserves a budget that delivers measurable improvements in housing, service delivery, public safety, accountability, and compassion. Good governance is not measured by the size of a budget,
the number of projects announced or the volume of press releases. It is measured by whether families receive homes, whether taps have water, whether communities are safer, whether public money is protected, and whether every resident feels that this city works for them. For these reasons, we cannot with a clear conscience support this process budget. While we acknowledge the work of the officials who prepared it, we believe the budget does not adequately respond to the realities facing too many Cape Townians. As I conclude, Speaker, my final say, every year in and year out, Mr. Mayor, the 7 P's, proper prior planning prevents poor, pathetic performance. Let me repeat it again. Proper prior planning prevents poor, pathetic performance. This comes on behalf of Al Jamaa. I shall thank you. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor. We move on to Councillor Jacobs from ARA.
Speaker, good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, continue, sir.
Thank you, Speaker, and also good morning to all the colleagues. Speaker, we rise to express our concern about the financial assumptions in the 26-27 IDP financial plan, particularly the citywide cleaning tariff. The city projects increases of 3.75% in 26-27 financial year, 16.96% in 27-28, and a staggering 37.31% in 28-29 financial year. Yet the report confirms this service will continue to be funded through this tariff, supplemented by other revenue. Speaker, the DA-led city has failed to revise this plan following the Western Cape High Court judgment, which declared the city's property values for certain tariffs unlawful. Despite this, it continues to budget on the same assumptions, creating uncertainty for Cape Town ratepayers. What is even more concerning, Speaker, the city's own budget projects inflation of just 3.2% and 3.1% in the 2 outer years, yet proposes a 37.31% increase, almost 12 times above inflation. How can the city tell residents this is affordable when salaries and pensions and social grants are nowhere near keeping pace with these increases? Speaker, has Treasury assessed the financial risk if this budget is passed? Is there a contingency plan being prepared? Madam Speaker, integrity is essential to good government. Without it, public trust is. Cape Town's residents deserve transparency, legal compliance, and honesty in budgeting. ARA urges the DA-led city to review this plan, to comply with High Court ruling, and to protect the ratepayers of Cape Town. We reject this recommendation, Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor David from NCC.
Good morning, Madam Speaker. Batu Pele means people first. Mayor, before we talk about billions of rands, let me ask you one simple question. Who is this budget really for? Because from where the NCC sits in it, it's certainly not for the struggling resident. You're asking the people of Cape Town to pay more. More for electricity, more for my city, more in tariffs. But what are they getting back? Because far too many communities are still waiting. Mayor, I recently spoke to a pensioner who told me she's paying close to 30 Rand for 1 unit of electricity. Imagine working your whole life only to reach retirement and worry whether you can switch on a light or boil a kettle. Is this really your caring city? Madam Speaker, let's talk about safety. Why have LEAP officers quietly disappeared from Atlantis while violent crimes continue to destroy families? Most shootings happen after 5 and over weekends. Communities continue asking, where are the extra boots on the ground in our red zones? For years, we've been told that the shot spotter and the eye in the sky would help fight crime. Today, residents are asking, where have repeated raised concerns about affordability, service delivery failures, infrastructure backlogs? The public was not consulted, but whether the concerns raised by the public have meaningfully influenced the final budget before us. Last week, a ward candidate was killed in the noon while walking from voter registration. May she rest in peace.
Okay, is that it?
No, I'm still busy.
Okay. Well, are you speaking? Is there a problem?
Yes, yeah, ma'am. Yes, there was a problem. I'm really done. May she rest in peace. Crime does not discriminate. Neither should safety. Madam Speaker, let's talk about accountability. Mayor, for years you proudly stood in the chamber and spoke about the clean audit. Today you cannot. The Auditor General has raised serious questions about the city's financial management. The people of Cape Town deserve to know what went wrong. When our party president, the Honorable Fadil Adams, raised concerns about possible irregularities within the city, those concerns was dismissed. Today, it cannot be simply brushed aside. Maybe, Mayor, we have also asked straightforward questions regarding alleged city funding involving DA member and ward candidate Alistair Isabel. Those questions remains unanswered. If there's nothing to hide, then answer them. Transparency builds trust. Silence destroys it. Madam Speaker, residents are tired of temporary fixes. A sewer problem in Brooklyn has reportedly remained unresolved for more than 11 years. In Broadlands Park, overflowing drains continue to expose residents to sewage and serious health risks. In Macassar Heights, residents have reportedly been without functioning streetlights for around 9 months. How can we speak about safer communities when families are left in the dark months on end? Every winter we hear the same complaints. Every winter we hear the same promises. Then we hear about the 31 million rand sports field. Yet community sports field remains waterlogged. Football tournaments are cancelled. Young people lose opportunities because facilities cannot be used. Residents don't judge budgets by glossy presentations. They judge budgets by what they see when they walk out of their front doors. Residents also deserve answers regarding unlawful tariffs. If residents have been charged unlawfully, they deserve to know when they will be paid back. Batu Pele is more than a slogan. It means putting people first. It means listening.
Conclude.
It means delivering.
Thank
It means
you, Councillor
accountability.
Miller. Councillor Miller?
Speaker, can you hear me?
Yes, continue. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, the Cape Town taxpayer, working and middle classes are dying. The DA's relentless high-tax social welfare agenda, which he proudly boasts gives over 70% of our budget towards subsidizing the indigent and poor, many of whom have come here from the Eastern Cape to take advantage of your social welfare programs and to get free second homes. While the Cape Flats is overflowing with backyard dwellers and 30% unemployment. It has now been 20 years since we at the Cape Independence Party have begged and pleaded with the DA to use your majority in both Cape Town and the Western Cape to fight back against the National Government's Division of Revenue Act. Yet you do nothing. In fact, quite the contrary. You supported and happily implement ANC and EFF national policies here in the Cape while taxing locals even more. Here are the 2026 numbers. This year, the Western Cape will pay 335 billion rand to the national government, and we will get back in our unconditional grants a mere 80 billion rand. Or in other words, we are losing 75% of the taxes that we pay. Here in Cape Town, it is even worse, which is why you are forced to tax Cape Town residents so heavily in rates. Cape Townians this year will pay 235 billion rand in taxes to national government, and including the Western Cape allocation, we will get back a mere 56 billion rand. However, Cape Town's total budget this year is 88 billion. In other words, a further 32 billion rand will have to come out of the pockets of Cape Town ratepayers in order to pay the city budget. This is 4 billion rand more than last year, or an additional tax burden this year of approximately 12%. However, if you demanded from National Treasury that Cape Town keeps a mere 1.7% of what we give to national government, you would have been able to boast that there would be no increases in rates for Cape Townians this year. However, that will not be the case. Instead, another year will be added to the list where the DA has supported the ANC in the Division of Revenue Act, which robs Cape Townians of 75% of our hard-earned taxes. If the Western Cape was independent, we could cut taxes in half and still have double the money we currently have for schools, hospitals,
Councillor Steenberg.
Good morning, Speaker.
Yes, you're audible. Thank you.
Good morning. Speaker, today the DA-led City of Cape Town expects councillors to once again support its 26-27 budget. As the Patriotic Alliance, we cannot in good conscience, Speaker, support a budget that asks our people to pay more while billions are being mismanaged. Speaker, the Auditor General has confirmed that the City of Cape Town has lost its audit status. And for years, the DA has used the word, quote-unquote, clean audit as proof that they govern better than everyone else. Today, that narrative has collapsed. Speaker, the Auditor General identified approximately 1.6 billion in irregular expenditure and wasteful spending linked to procurement and tender failures. Irrespective how beautifully the mayor wants to paint this picture, that is the reality, irrespective of the many slideshows and beautiful videos you guys post on TikTok. The people of Cape Town has realized that this is not true. That 1.6 billion that could have built houses, upgraded clinics, repaired roads, improved parks, created sustainable jobs, excluding your EPWP fiction that you want to push in the public domain. It could have strengthened law enforcement that the very City of Cape Town and Metropolis is trying to basically cripple your own City of Cape Town. It could have provided basic services to the communities that you do not service at all, irrespective how beautifully the part-time mayor wants to create that picture. Yet every year the same city comes to council asking us to approve another budget while hundreds of thousands of families remain on the waiting list. Unemployment continues to rise, informal settlements continue to grow, and many communities on the Cape Flats are still waiting for dignified opportunities, especially when it comes to homes, not the substandard homes that you are giving to our people. And so the Patriotic Alliance believe that accountability must come before applause. We cannot reward financial mismanagement by simply approving another budget and pretending everything is fine. In fact, Tender 135C is on its way to the High Court. I wonder what the City of Cape Town will then say to the public. Therefore, our opposition to this budget is not about politics. It is about priorities. We refuse to support a budget when the city has failed to demonstrate that public money is being managed with the discipline and accountability that residents deserve. And so, Speaker, the people of Cape Town deserve a government that puts service delivery before self-congratulations, before people, before politics, and accountability before excuses. For these reasons, the PA will not support this budget.
Thank you. Moving on, Councillor Sukkers.
Thank you, Speaker, and good morning, Mayor and colleagues, and to the public that has joined online. The ACDP has, in the last financial year for 25-26, not supported the budget due to its impact on middle-income homes. We emphasize the importance of relieving households in the City of Cape Town, as they were already paying more in every aspect due to the high cost of living nationwide. Residents across the city made their voices heard and opposed the budget due to the fixed charges on water and sanitation bills and an added tariff for citywide cleaning. This placed more strain on households who are battling with the demand to pay more. The ruling made by the High Court only confirmed our position. Speaker, the ACDP acknowledges the increase in Cape Town's population, and we agree that we need to prioritize infrastructural development. We support the need for more policing and better services. However, We believe there needs to be a phased methodology when charging the residents who pay for these services. Engaging with National Treasury is the first step, but there also needs to be further exploration of gaining the capital needed to accommodate the increased demand. Our position for the amended budget for the new financial year remains unchanged. Despite the amendments to remove the addition of the city-wide cleaning levy and the fixed charges for water and sanitation returning to its meter-based method, residents still see an increase in rates and services which they cannot afford at this current moment. Speaker, Cape Town has become increasingly unaffordable for its residents, and it's vital that we alleviate the pressure. In the public participation period, we saw over 700 comments made by residents relating to the Finance Directorate regarding the budget. This confirms the concern of increased anxiousness of Cape Townians regarding their current economic strain. A comment worth noting by a resident stated the following, and I quote, "Property rates and escalating valuations have increased at an unsustainable rate, resulting in escalating rate burdens that are not aligned with economic growth. This creates a real risk of displacement and financial strain on long-standing residents," close quote. Speaker, despite the city's response to the comment that the property valuations are determined objectively and according to market values, this does not negate the financial impact the property value ban has on Cape Townians. Despite a consolidated fixed tariff for all meter sizes up to 22 millimeters, we see an increase for water users with high consumption, with an increase of 4.5%, going from 45 Rand in the March table budget to 47 Rand for usage of 10.5 to 35 kiloliters. In sanitation, we see an increase from 34 Rand 38 cents to 36 Rand 68 cents. Overall, we have increases in electricity tariffs, refuse collections and disposal, and My City bus fees. Speaker, the ACDP is not socialist, and we do not believe that everything should be free. We understand that to achieve continued quality service delivery and to see funded capital and operational projects, it comes at a cost. However, we need to recognize the concerns raised by our residents. To conclude, Speaker, there's a quote that says, "Leadership demands restraint, empathy, and a clear understanding of the sacrifices citizens make every day. It requires recognizing that public money is not an entitlement, but a trust." Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. Councillor Van Vuuren. The Freedom
Thank you,
Front Plus.
Speaker.
Thank you.
Morning, Speaker, fellow councillors. While the city may highlight increased poverty relief thresholds and a modest 2% reduction in the rates in the rand for the 2026-2027 financial year, the reality on the ground tells a different story. A story of rising costs that will further impoverish our ordinary salary earners and loyal ratepayers. The recent general property valuation process has led to a significant increase in property values, particularly for middle and high income households. This means higher rate bills for homeowners whose incomes have simply not kept pace with these increases. Furthermore, this sharp increase in property valuations threatens to exclude many beneficiaries and pensioners from essential electricity rebates. The fixed electricity charges for properties valued above 1 million are set to rise to 424 Rand 30 cents per month. This follows a substantial increase from 281 Rand 78 to 390 Rand 87 per month last year, representing an additional 8.5% increase on top of a 38% hike. Our current rates relief system is clearly inadequate, and many residents will simply be unable to absorb these escalating fixed service charges, which have increased by as much as 68.3% since the 24-25 financial year. These increases are completely beyond the reach of ordinary salary earners, whose wage increases do not come close to matching such excessive tax and tariff hikes. The proposed increase in My City fares, raising a monthly travel pass from 1,000 Rand to 1,500 Rand, is yet another blow to our commuters. Madam Speaker, it is clear that the city requires substantial revenue to fund its social welfare commitments. However, loyal taxpayers are being relentlessly squeezed to pay for them. While the city claims that infrastructure projects will continue, the absence of transparent and practical measures to protect households from escalating living costs means that this budget risks financing political ambition at the expense of paying residents. Cape Town deserves a budget that genuinely balances the provision of essential services with the economic realities faced by its diverse communities. It is of little comfort to boast about providing better services than municipalities governed by other parties if some residents are being financially drained in the process. Given the rates and charges currently paid by Cape Town residents, they are entitled to expect the highest possible standard of service delivery, something that is clearly not being achieved when so many are struggling to make ends meet. It's easy to say we are good when the others are very bad. The fact that this administration has lost its clean audit for the first time in years proves that something is definitely amiss. We must do better. We must deliver a budget that is truly fair, truly affordable, and truly reflective of the needs of all Cape Townians. And the Freedom Front Plus cannot, with a clear conscience, support this budget. Thank you.
Councillor Mbungwani.
Am I audible, Speaker?
You are. Continue.
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, members of Council and fellow residents of Cape Town, the recent events surrounding the City of Cape Town's budget have underscored the power of engaged and united community. When residents and ratepayers stood up and rejected the city initial budget, their voices resonated not only within council chambers, but also in the courts. The High Court's landmark decision declaring the city's property charges for water and sanitation and citywide cleaning unlawful and invalid is a resounding victory for the residents of Cape Town and a testament to the strengthened participatory democracy. The amended budget before us attempts to address some of these concerns, proposing adjustments such as linking water and sanitation charges back to water meter size and expanding the rate-free property value threshold. While these reforms mark progress, we must critically ask ourselves, are they sufficient? The ACDP stood firm against the initial budget because it failed to adequately protect the most vulnerable members of our society. Regrettably, even in its revised form, this budget still fails short to truly addressing the needs of the poor and constitute the majority of our city population. The ACDP call on the City of Cape Town to genuinely listen to the voices of the poor. Inclusion must be more than just rhetoric. It has to be a tangible practice. The budget must serve the poor, providing the real relief and meaningful support to households struggling to survive. Furthermore, we urge the city to urgently resolve the challenges faced by the churches across Cape Town. Many churches, which serve as a vital support network for the needy, continue to encounter bureaucratic obstacles and lack of a clear guidance when applying for property rebates. Applications are frequently delayed or rejected on technicalities. Depriving these critical community pillars is needed highly. Speaker, with the issue of extortion, which is hitting hard on the communities of Cape Town, we hope that the budget that has been allocated to the safety and security will try to curb those extortion. In closing, let us remind ourselves that a budget is not merely a financial document. It reflects our values and our priorities as the city. We must choose compassion, fairness, genuine inclusivity. We must ensure that every Cape Townian, regardless of their circumstances, has a voice and a meaningful stake in our future as the city of Cape Town. I thank you.
Councillor Cotti.
Speaker, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Carry on. Thank you.
Speaker, good morning, Speaker, Mayor, councillors, officials, members of the public on YouTube. The ANC do not support the proposed budget for the financial year 2026-2027. Mayor, you made a number of promises to our council and residents on your inaugural speech on the 18th of November 2021, 4.5 years ago. And I quote the following, open quote, that the purpose can be summed up in one sentence: to restore hope in South Africa by turning Cape Town into a living proof that we can roll back poverty. The reality, Mayor, unfortunately, you are unable to roll back poverty, but rather increase poverty of poorest of the poor and the middle class with the increase of unlawful tariffs and rates in the last 4.5 years. Property rates, when you came in 2021, 2022, standing at 4.5%. Electricity increases, tariffs was 13.5% in 2022. Lifeline tariffs at that point in time was 143 cents per kilowatt hour. Now it's tripled the size. It's now standing at more than 4 rand per kilowatt hour proposed for 2025, 2026, 2027. 2017, Speaker, you can buy 52 units for 100 rand. In 2023, you were only able to buy 33.60 units for 100 rand in the city of Cape Town. 2026, you only were able to buy 25 units for 100 rand, plus an additional fixed charges that you introduced to poor and middle class residents. 2026, 2027, 100 rand will only get you 22 units for electricity. Residents buy 100 rand electricity every second day. 70% of pensioners' money goes to electricity. Our people are struggling to survive in Cape Town, if you don't know that by now. Mayor, under your leadership, you introduced the following extra charges. Basic charges on water, 54 rand extra on your utility account. Basic charges on sewage, extra 25 rand 72 cents on your utility bill. Citywide cleaning tariff, extra 43 rand 48 cents on your utility bill. Mayor, you are the reason why the city of Cape Town was taken to court on the High Court last year on your unlawful budget and tariffs. Speaker, under the leadership of the mayor, the ED of Urban Waste Management was fired by the city, and the city is now claiming 10 million rand from the ex-ED. Under your leadership, Mayor, the city is selling prime public land to your election funders, for example, Dop Center. Under your leadership, the city of Cape Town lost its clean audit, receiving unqualified findings in this financial year. And that is in your supply chain management regulation relating to tenders to the amount of 1.6 billion rand. Listen carefully, not millions, 1.6 billion rand. In your words, it says processes and technicals. Under your leadership, rates and tariffs are increasing while poor and middle class are suffering. Under your leadership, rich are getting richer, poor are getting poorer. Mayor, you failed dismally the residents in the city of Cape Town. Mayor, you must start by being truthful and honest and stop blaming communities, opposition political parties, and national government for your failures. The Auditor General report, and you making now very fancy, on page 212, it says 81% of reported basic services targeted, however, only delivering on housing-related targets remain challenged, but only 38% sees, and that's a scandal. And I can give you 3 examples, Mayor. Mahama project in Ward 97 in Kalitsa. The city did civil work on 2 pieces of land, which does not belong to them. That constitute for me fruitless and wasteful expenditure. Makasa housing project, civil work was completed in 2021 when you became the mayor, of which the target of deliverables was 2,469. At this point in time, we only managed about 600 units. The Pentec housing, the last project, Pentec housing project civil work is supposed to be concluded by the end of this financial year. That's the end of 2026. What's strange of this project, Mayor, is that there's no funding for this financial year 2025 and 2026 and the coming financial year 2026-27 for top structures. Mayor must explain how the city can build civil underground work and there's no funding for top structures. Can you explain that to residents that they will be waiting many more years for housing opportunities in Bella and surrounding areas? Speaker, the mayor, which is also now the leader of the DA in the Federal Council, asked the president that he must demote the Minister of Uber Eats, John Steenhuisen. We are asking the mayor today, he must demote the MMC for human settlements in the city of Cape Town. The mayor is also now sitting with the Judas, aka Majingo, next to him, the uitverkoper. Speaker, can I also remind the mayor in terms of his speech in the last council meeting? I quote, the infrastructure is also vital for the city, committed to care and dignity. It is possible for us to restore hope and dignity to communities while residents are flowing in some parts of the city. And he says, tomorrow I'm going straight to Khayelitsha and Phoenix with a serious crisis of sewage infrastructure. But let me say to you, Mayor, it's not some parts, it's most of the areas in the city of Cape Town. Khayelitsha, Delft, Bella, Guguletu, Mfoleni, Kraaifontein, and Westbank are suffering under sewer collapses. And you know what is sewer collapses? I can remind you of Jafta K. Masumora Drive in Khayelitsha. Khayelitsha alone has more than 50 sewer collapses in the last 3 months under 3 pipelines that we have in this financial year. 3 pump stations needs urgent upgrading and maintenance. Swartklip in Mitchells Plain, Swartklip pump station has not been working for 4 months now. Raw sewage is running into the road and also into the Khayelitsha cemetery. This is a disgrace to the city of Cape Town and you as mayor. Ask Councillor Badrulin how he's wasting money to collecting sewer at a pump station every hour and then take that sewer to Bots's Quarry. Speaker, informal settlements upgrading remains unfunded related to the 40 billion rand infrastructure envelope. No indicators exist for housing delivery, turnaround times and public release, all essential in section 153 compliance. In conclusion, Speaker, the law expert said that the city has the duty to ensure that tariffs does not leave household facing poverty. The law expert of the University of Stellenbosch, Professor Zwelamzima Ndlovu, said the city has a responsibility to ensure that its rates are manageable. The ANC do not support the budget. I thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Palm.
Speaker, am I audible?
You are. Continue.
Speaker, the mayor announced an apartheid wall rebranded as a 100 million rand project called the rehabilitation of the N2 Edge. It is the DA that must be rehabilitated. This administration obscures details of this project like it wants to obscure the city's failures from the view of tourists. It's no wonder that Cape Town failed to achieve a clean audit, so the mayor can take his PowerPoint presentation and stuff it. The second issue is affordability. Rent for a basic council home is rising. The city's own budget admits that outstanding rental debt is soaring because tenants face financial hardship. Yet while the city aggressively squeezes money from all residents, Gordon Neil Lewis and friends look the other way on wealthy property speculators. Airbnbs pull homes off the long-term market for peak tourist season, doubling profits while paying cheap residential rates. Mr. Mayor, freeze the rent on council houses. Lastly, Speaker, the disgraceful abandonment of foreign nationals by the city when we have the resources to avert a humanitarian catastrophe is unconscionable. The DA leader who moonlights as the mayor must call his member Helen Zille to order, who coddles xenophobic extremism, if he can catch a break from doing damage control on John Steenhuisen going rogue on Tony Leon. On that note, a resident has asked me to relay the following message. Ask Francine Higham why she has been hiding her head in the sand while hundreds suffered, including babies who are only a couple of months old, and tell her that she is beneath contempt. I thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Badela.
Morning, Madam Speaker. Am I audible?
Yes, you are, sir. Continue.
Where is the speech now? Where is my speech?
I don't have it.
I know, Madam Speaker. It just ran away.
All right, when you're ready.
Okay. What happened here?
Do you want me to come back to you?
Yes, please, Madam Speaker.
Okay. Councillor Mamkeli?
Speaker, am I audible?
Yes, you are. Continue.
Okay, thank you, Speaker. Give me a minute. I need to get to my speech.
Can you find it?
Yes, I did find it. I finally find it, Speaker. Unlike the ANC councillor, I couldn't find his speech. Speaker.
Councillor Badela will come back to you after Councillor Mamkeli.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Carry on, Councillor.
Ngosi Somlom. Greetings to the councillors, the officials, and the residents of Cape Town. Let me state clearly from the outset, this analysis deals with residential properties only. It is based on 645 and 37,000 freehold residential properties contained in the GV 2025 valuation roll. While it excludes sectional title properties, the data set is large enough to expose a serious weakness in this budget. The city calls its property value-based rebate system a blanket approach, but a blanket that leaves most residential properties uncovered is not a blanket, it is a patch. The real dividing line is not 830,000, it is 620,000. Only 279,000 properties, or just 34%, are valued at 620,000 or less. That means 758,000 residential properties, which is 65%, are valued above 620,000 and lose the city's main automatic property value-based rebates. Between 620,000 and 830,000, only a limited refuse rebate remains. And above 830,000, even that, sorry, Speaker, there's something that pops up now here. Even above 830,000, even that disappears. So how can the city honestly describe this as a broad relief when meaningful automatic protection reaches only 1/3 of the residential properties in this data set? Speaker, the DA-led City of Cape Town municipality approach to affordability is fundamentally flawed. You cannot determine a municipal property tariffs purely on the value of a property without assessing the economic circumstances of the people living in that property. Property value is not income. A home is not a payslip. A pensioner living in a 700,000 or 900,000 home is not automatically wealthy. A working family whose property's value increased under GV 2025 did not receive a salary increase. The value of a house may rise on a paper while the household income continues to struggle to pay for food, transport, electricity, and municipal services. The city may argue that the residents can apply for income-based assistance, but that is not automatic relief. It requires people to know about the program, complete applications, and repeatedly prove financial hardships. This is why the so-called blanket approach is found wanting. A genuine affordability model must be based on a household income, financial circumstances, and the real ability to pay, not simply on the market value of a home. Cape Town deserves a fairer system because a rebate blanket that meaningfully protects only 1/3 of residential properties cannot.
Councillor Badela.
Am I audible, Madam Speaker?
Yes, you are. If you found your speech, you can continue.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I follow the suit of Councillor Koti. The ANC is not supporting the budget. We are called upon to consider a budget presented by the DA-led administration that has repeatedly demonstrated that the priorities continue to favor the privileged minority, while the needs of the black majority remain neglected. The national government took the deliberate decision to address apartheid spatial planning by investing into integrated public transport system, The objective was to improve affordable mobility for workers and the middle class who continue to live on the periphery in our cities and towns. Yet it is difficult to trust the current administration when it rolled out phase 1 of the My City bus services overwhelmingly benefited affluent suburbs, while many of our townships were left behind. National Land Act Transport of 2009 empowered metropolitan municipalities to integrate public transport services, while continuing witnessed world-class infrastructure such as bridges, interchange, flyovers being constructed. Inequality treatment of many communities remain deeply concerned. The ANC are watching closely and monitoring the progress of Phase 2A, which believe is one of the most important transport projects to improve the lives of the poor commuters. The budget allocation over 740 million on Phase 2A and approximately 429 million for the integrated bus rapid transit system over 26, 27, 27, 28, 29 midterm review and expenditure framework. While we welcome this allocation, our primary concern remain implementation. The ANC is constantly advocating for the upgrade of the Mfuleni transport interchange. Although funding was allocated in the previous financial year, implementation was repeatedly delayed or reversed. We are encouraged this budget contains a meaningful allocation with expenditure expected to reach approximately 150 million over the medium term. We sincerely hope that the implementation will finally commence, easing congestion and improving mobility for both public transport users, motorists, and pedestrians. Madam Speaker, another project that has suffered unacceptable delay in this upgrading of, it's a Delft Main Road. The project has been appearing successive budget without meaningful progress. We trust that this time the allocation funding will finally translate into executive improving access to the traffic flow for the residents of Delft. We have also noted that the budget allocation of urban stormwater infrastructure unfortunately does not adequately respond to the crisis experienced throughout many townships and communities across the Cape Flats, at times even affluent areas. Block ponds, gullies, underground stormwater conduits continue to contribute to severe flooding during the rainy season. The ANC proposed that the city abandon the term winter preparedness, instead adopt all-season preparedness approach. Climate change has fundamentally altered weather patterns, and unless the city significantly upgrade underground stormwater infrastructure, communities will continue to suffer year after year. We equally concerned about the delay affecting the rehabilitation project, including the road construction of concrete roads in communities such as Bondiville, Eidseg, Bondiville, Manenberg, and Guguletu. Similar importance traffic congestion relief projects, including Erica Drive, Weinberg Hospital, M3 Corridor, Fishhook, continue to experience a setback. The ANC believes that the city appears to prioritize My City expenditure ahead of equal critical infrastructure projects. The Directorate must improve in planning and deliver in this regard. We just illustrate the rollovers in the poor communities and other areas. The City of Cape Town administration continue to fall short on the standard frequently claimed to uphold. Too often it hides behind Eskom while residents face an increasingly unaffordable city in which to live. At the same time, safety continues to deteriorate, leaving many commuters vulnerable. We therefore urge the city to prioritize upgrading the roads within the informal settlement to improve access to emergency services, including fire rescue vehicles, particularly devastating fires and floodings. The lack of adequate street lights in many of these communities also creates opportunity for criminal activities, placing residents, especially the most vulnerable, at a greater risk. We furthermore, the City of Cape Town infrastructure network, including canals, pipelines, and stormwater conveyance system, continues to deteriorate. The growing disparity in the service delivery between the affluent communities and poor areas only depends on inequality. Madam Speaker, the Urban Mobility Directorate plays a critical role in delivering the objective of the integrated development plan by developing efficient transport network for both public public and private transport. Such a system should stimulate economic growth while ensuring that residents benefit equally. It is therefore difficult to understand a municipality that receives substantial grant funding from national government through provincial government can justify proposing my city fare increases at approximately 50%. While we acknowledge the increases in the fuel prices and other operating costs, such as steep fare increases excessive and places unfair burden to poor communities, the City of Cape Town is a public institution established to serve its resident, not corporate entity driven by profit. The ANC cannot support an increase that is disproportionately impact on the working class and middle class household. We reject the tariff increase in the strongest term it can. We call upon the City of Cape Town to...
Padela, your time, just conclude. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. We reject the budget and the increase of 50%. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Peter?
Am I audible, Chair?
Yes, you can continue.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Mayor and the MACO and all relevant officials and councillors. I want to raise my strong objection to this budget, as it is not a pro-poor budget and it shows a lack of commitment to address the long-standing problems in previously disadvantaged communities. As I narrate the reasons to reject this budget, now, I so wish the mayor can take this critique positively, as I would quote IDP and budget exercises, not to say it was talk show, because according to this budget conclusion, as it is presented, it does not speak to the needs of the poor as they were put clearly in the budget meeting. A clear show of a budget consistently shows and confirms a two-tailed city, where on the other side of the river is greener. Apha ubona nje umgwebu usokhekhe omane esiluma kakhulu isonka xa ezama ukulungelelanisa abe engade afike apho kumele abe uya khona. For the financial year 2027, you could clearly see even how the budget is detailed in the detailed budget of a 10 million rand on swimming pools. For an example, out of the 4 swimming pools that there is budget allocated clearly, 3 of them, 1 of them is in Sea Point for a 1 million rand, and the other one is in Long Street for another million rand, and another one is in Ravenston for a 6.5 million rand. But when you come to Gugulethu Vulindlela, you get a less than 500,000 that is allocated. That on its own, it shows that there are really no commitment to share equally the resources and develop the underdeveloped. We only sustain what we have in the affluent areas and make sure that we better its standards far better than the previously disadvantaged areas. That is an example one that I would quote. Whilst we will be passing also here another budget of 20 million rands in this financial year on swimming pool upgrades. That is not stipulated where it is going to work. And that is also another amakring. After we've passed it, if it doesn't go to the areas of the previously disadvantaged, it will be another celebration of because Tina say budget blindly in this municipality on amounts that are not allocated, are just general under general upgrades. When you move to cemeteries, there's about 73 million rand that is budgeted for this financial year on cemeteries, which is also good. But what is not good about it is when the money is not specified where it will go, because after you have passed it, wherever it's going to be used, you are not going to be able as communities to know and object again, because the money is already passed. We need a budget that speaks to upgrades of fencing of Khayelitsha cemeteries, which like now, it's like an open field that is a bridge for people of Khayelitsha to go to Tafelsig, Mitchell's Plain areas. For further development of Southeast Metro cemeteries, we need budget. This budget is quiet. Bloemfontein, Kraaifontein cemeteries, there's nothing that is spoken about. We understand that there's a lot of challenge, but if the budget does not speak equitably to all communities of the city of Cape Town, it cannot be accepted. For community halls, under the community halls, for financial year 2027, 28, and 29, we are going to pass a budget that speaks to the Parkwood Hall that needs to be rebuilt here, whilst there's a Delft and in the Hague Hall that is down for quite some time. That is the same with the Cemetery of Culture, which is more than 3 years now without the fencing. This budget shows an electioneering budget to satisfy only the interest of the very few, and it is a budget that polarizes the city further and divides the city. Community parks upgrade, you've got the same approach of monies that are put on community parks upgrade for 3 financial years consecutively, so at a cost of 10 million rands. Also, they were going to pass a blank check that for the DA to see itself where it suits itself of the monies that were passed here, as if we were blind when we're passing them. Because when you pass money without knowing where it goes, then you are passing that budget blindly. So on health, I want also to raise the issue of on health that we've got clinics that are constructed in communities where the population does not speak to the clinic that is built itself. Property development, it gives little land for our communities to be built clinics, and you'll find congestion of sick people in those clinics, which is not even assisting for them to get well, because there is no proper space. Zakhele Clinic is one other clinic which has been a talk show in the city of Cape Town since Mayor Delile days. And now we are going to another administration. Zakhele Clinic is a talk show. We've only requested to be removed only 15 checks for the province to be able to acquire this land that the Zakhele Clinic can be built. But now we are, as a ward councillor, you are being sent from pillar to post that you must see where do you allocate, where do you relocate the checks that are there, which is that this clinic, it will never be built for another 5 years again. Furthermore, I will be failing as a councillor that has a ward that is got informal settlements. Not to say this budget does not speak to the IDP questions of delivering basic services to informal settlements, such as clean flush toilets and electricity, which is undermining the dignity and hampers on the health of our people. Especially children and especially women and children. The above 2 major issues, which is electricity and clean sanitation, came strongly on the IDP budget meetings, and we thought that they will be taken serious about this. Electricity is contributing to crime, and many residents, even those areas electrified, they suffer of, as now people are without electricity, are risking their lives, trying to connect themselves through a transformer.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you. And then I'm going to just ask the interpreter, Norma, just to cover those issues that were in causa.
Okay, basically, what the bit that was said in Koso was that this speaks about a big judge, a judge sitting with a big chunk of the budget, but does not get where it should be. It's actually a self-serving and not serving the interest of people. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We move on then to Councillor Dixon.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Good morning. Okay. Madam Speaker, this budget is before us today because the High Court ordered the city to change it. I place on record that the Good Party was the only political party that spent its own money to join the court case as amicus curiae in defense of residents. The final June budget increases on average 6.64% for electricity, 4.5% for water and sanitation, and 3.75% for refuse collection. All of these increases are above the city's own CPI assumption of 3.4%. And as tariffs relentlessly rise, the city raises social relief thresholds to compensate. Is this rational? The current year operational budget forecast for free basic services in informal settlements is 1.4 billion. For 27, it rises to 3.4 billion, an increase of over 2 billion or 144%. Nearly 1.6 billion of this amount is simply described in the budget as other. The largest increases in here are for electricity and water. But the latest financial monitoring report, M11, records 693 million in net expenditure in informal settlements department by May this year. But it does not reconcile expenditure across energy, water, sanitation, urban waste management, and human settlements. Through you, Speaker.
Just check your mics, please. Someone's mic is on. Councillor Dixon, carry on.
Through you, Speaker, I ask the CFO to look at the budget pages 406, 408, 421 and the Financial Monitoring Report M11 at page 141. Can the CFO reconcile the movement from the current year forecast of 1.393 billion to the 26-27 figure of 3.4 billion? Can the CFO link that forecast to the relevant votes and explain precisely what is included in the nearly 1.6 billion classified only as other? Council is being asked to approve an increased multi-billion rand social package, begging for explanation. Housing delivery is a capital budget issue, but the same accountability test applies. The city points to reductions in the National Treasury grants, including the USDG grant. Annexure 25 shows that in 24-25, the city delivered only 873 formal housing service sites against a target of 2,400, 36% of the target. Instead of a recovery plan, Annexure 25 reduces the 27 target from 4,000 service sites to 3,200. That is a reduction of 20%. The same annexure admits that development has not yet been implemented on 7 land parcels awarded since 2022, which could deliver about 5,000 housing opportunities. Annexure 5 points to a delivery system that is failing to convert available land, capital budget, and grants into housing opportunities. Targets are missed, projects stall, contracts fail, awarded land remains untouched. This is formal acceptance of failure. The same pattern appears in wastewater. When performance falls, the city does not restore the required standard. It lowers the target. The city admits compliance with the regulated treated effluent standards fell from 88% to 77% in 2023. The city states that its compliance target must be at least 90%, not 88%. Yet Annexure 36 sets the wastewater compliance target at only 78%. Even by 2031, this target reaches only 82%. This budget formally budgets for continued non-compliance. Speaker, the pattern across this budget is clear. Social package figures cannot be fully reconciled. Housing targets are lowered instead of improving delivery. Wastewater targets remain below the required standard for years into the future. Cape Town residents are entitled to demand more than explanations, reduced targets, and figures buried in thousands of pages of annexures to this budget. Cape Town residents are entitled to transparency, accountability, and specifically delivery for all. I thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. Councillor Tahira.
Thank you, Speaker. Am I audible?
Yes, continue.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, the African National Congress does not support the budget because the ANC believes that this budget, Madam Speaker, is not for basic services. Mr. Mayor, on 13 June in Hanover Park, you promised Cape Town that you would want to see a safer, cleaner, and more affordable Cape Town. But this budget does the opposite. It seems like a political weapon designed to extract money or more money from pensioners, workers, homeowners, and mainly in the black and colored areas, to keep feeding consultants, to keep funding executive packs, to keep your bloated administration fed, despite the ever-escalating cost of living in Cape Town, Mr. Mayor, and you, Mr. Mayor, and the DA chooses arrogance over accountability. You are still pushing ahead with what they call, or what you call, a system that charges residents based on the value of their homes, not what they earn or use. This is a backdoor wealth tax. It targets people who have lived in their homes for decades, especially in black and colored areas where property prices may have risen, but incomes have not. It is shameful that someone living off a grant or pension must now pay higher monthly bills just because their house is worth more on paper. And this is financial punishment disguised as reform. It is a quiet eviction of the poor by police. It is the beginning of Cape Town becoming a city only the wealthy can afford. On top of this, the city is pushing ahead with its new cleaning fee that indicates VAT, even though property rates are VAT exempt. This is a deliberate tax trap, Mr. Mayor, and it exposes the DA's hypocrisy. In Tshwane, the DA opposes a 200 rand cleaning levy and calls it unfair. In Cape Town, the DA imposes an even more expensive version with no shame. It is dishonest, it is exploitative, and it is proof that the DA governs for different interests depending on who is watching. The so-called budget is not softer, it is simply better disguised. The big injustice remains the city refuses to cut bloated spending, refuses to trim luxury projects, and refuses to admit that their approach is pricing people out of the city of Cape Town. This is not just a budget, it is a political choice, and the DA has chosen the rich. The ANC demands the immediate removal of these property-linked fixed charges and the scrapping of the VAT-loaded cleaning tariff. We call on the National Treasury and the MEC for local government to urgently investigate the fairness and legality of these forced schemes. We urge all Cape Townians, especially those in working-class neighborhoods, to reject this budget. People of Cape Town, continue submitting your objections. Make your voices heard. This is about more than numbers. It is about justice. It is about dignity, and it is about stopping a government that treats the poor as a revenue stream. I wonder if Mr. Mayor is aware that a toddler, a three-year-old that has now fallen into a sinkhole in wetlands in Makaza, and that's a city-recognized area, Mr. Mayor. When we talk about the more investment on infrastructure, it looks good on paper, but a 3-year-old sank or was rescued from a sinkhole recently, 770 to be exact, Mr. Mayor. And lastly, Mr. Mayor, amangcwaba of great Cape Townians are running sewer water in all the cemeteries in the townships. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor. Alderman Force.
Good morning, Madam Speaker. Am I audible?
Yes. You may
Thank you.
continue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Many of the parties here today seem to struggle with the Auditor General's report and also the full reading of the budget. Their criticism does not match what is actually happening on the ground in this DA-led city and what this budget is building. We are focused on results, not slogans, and while they argue about perception, we are focused on delivery and keeping Cape Town working. And as for the Patriotic Alliance, when they took to the podium, they referred to the mayor as part-time, But there is nothing part-time about leadership that is consistently present, fully engaged, and delivering results. The only thing that is part-time here is their reading of the facts. Because in Cape Town, we are the only metro where unemployment is going down, and our infrastructure budget allocations are the largest in the country. And therefore, Madam Speaker, I speak in full support of the budget as tabled by the Mayor. I want to focus on the work we are doing to grow our economy. It comes at a time when Cape Town has the lowest unemployment rate of many of the metros in our country. And we welcome that progress, but we are certainly not satisfied. Too many people are still looking for work, which is why this budget keeps its focus exactly where it should be, building infrastructure that economic growth depends on. Because if we want Cape Town to be a great place to invest, do business, and visit, it must first be a great place to live. And over the past year, my team and I spent time on factory floors, in boardrooms, with investors and with SMMEs and entrepreneurs across Cape Town. And across every sector, the message is consistent. Make it easier to do business, back job creators, and keep investing in growth. This is exactly what this budget does. Let me highlight 5 priorities. First, investment and global connectivity. We will continue strengthening our partnership with Wesgro to land more flights and expand exports and connect Cape Town businesses to new markets. The more connected Cape Town is to the world, the more opportunities we create at home. And that is why we do this, Madam Speaker, because for every 100 air passengers arriving in our city, about 2 local jobs are supported. Second, backing businesses. Last year alone, our business hub assisted more than 5,800 businesses across Cape Town through supplier development, procurement support, and business advisory services. We are helping businesses to start, grow, and expand. And this budget allows us to expand those programs so more businesses can grow and create jobs. We will also continue funding our sector-focused special purpose vehicle program, supporting industries where Cape Town has a competitive advantage, including green energy, clothing and textile, boat building, business process outsourcing technology, and others. And these partnerships deliver real results. Last year alone, they helped facilitate more than 15 billion rand in new investments, creating thousands of additional job opportunities. That support, Madam Speaker, also extends to the informal economy. This budget invests in better public infrastructure in several communities, creating safer and more dignified trading spaces, because informal traders are an important part of our local economy. It also provides for a 0 increase in informal trading tariffs to strengthen the sector and keep the cost of doing business affordable. Third, making it easier to do business. And Madam Speaker, through our Ease of Doing Business Index, we continue cutting red tape and improving turnaround times, because government should enable growth, not stand in its way. And therefore, the many new developments you see happening across the city show that it is working. Fourth, connecting people with opportunities. More than 177,000 Cape Townians have already used our Jobs Connect platform to access employment and learning opportunities. And this budget allows us to continue expanding that program, because opportunity only matters if people can access it. And we are also continuing to invest in workforce development. Last year, the business process outsourcing sector created a record 11,496,000 new jobs, bringing employment in the sector to more than 100,000 Cape Townians. And those numbers did not happen by accident. They are the result of strong partnerships and targeted skills programs, which is why this budget continues investing in workforce development that leads directly to employment. And finally, fifth, growing tourism and unlocking investment from our property portfolio. Now, Madam Speaker, tourism supports nearly 106,000 jobs and contributes more than 24.5 billion rand to Cape Town's economy. We want those numbers to grow, and that is why we continue investing in place marketing, city-to-city partnerships, and campaigns that attract more visitors throughout the year. And this budget also continues unlocking the value of our city-owned properties portfolio by releasing suitable land for private sector development. And that means more residential and commercial developments, more investment, and ultimately more jobs. So, Madam Speaker, if we remain focused on these priorities, we will continue building a stronger economy that creates more opportunities in every community across Cape Town. That is the DA difference, backing businesses, attracting investment, and creating jobs. And that is, Madam Speaker, how we make the unemployment queue shorter. I fully support the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Mazwi. Councillor Mazwi from the
Am I
EFF?
audible, Speaker?
Yes, you are. Continue.
Greetings, councillors and everyone. As Speaker, the item before us seeks this council to adopt budget that is stated in the special sub-council agenda dated 29 June 2026. On page 28, 1.1, in Mayor's report, open remarks, City of Hope budget. And this vision was encapsulated based on the findings that the Cape Town residents are unemployed and that leads to poverty. And then saw a need to grow economy faster to uplift people out of the two most needy factors in the so-called City of Hope. Very interesting. It further states that first is to address infrastructure and funding sustainable basic services. For the entire 5 years that the mayor served this council, it has been a hope after hope. We hoped for the City of Hope to be a city of hope for all until we ran out of hope. Now we are here being told about growing economy for who? For those that are privileged enough to get more better and the poor to be more poor. Service delivery, it is a pain to us that needs it in a true sense of needing it. To us, service delivery means life. It is not just a statement, but a life itself. Madam Speaker, we hoped for the entire term served by the current mayor, served by the previous mayors, Don Plato and Patricia Delil. Nothing have changed, but things got from bad to worse. Basic delivery, water and sanitation, we still have areas that are still using bucket system. No amount of explanation can make sense than that of dehumanizing Black and poor people. Toilets that are not serviced at all. People are sharing toilets and you come here and talk about service delivery that this city is very selective to. Apha eKhayelitsha eGreenpoint, to be specific, forward 93. Ukho utata omdala pha ekuthiwa ngutata uHlathi. Utata uHlathi akanayo itoilet. Utata uHlathi ukuze akwazi ukuzirelieva funeke ahambe encuthalaza, being the head of the family. Uhambe encuthalaza to relieve himself, and you talk about service delivery. We come here and talk about how this city delivers, but we swim in the sewer spills. Ogo. We went to deliver a wheelchair recently in Ward 104 in Danone. The person is in need of that wheelchair, but she is unable to use it beyond her house because there's a sewer in everywhere around his house, around her house. Security, same security that is causing this city not to service our people. When we talk about service deliveries, this city always complain about extortion. Now we are here to approve the budget that is going to address that. We have been talking and talking in this council for it to address these issues. But now, why now? The question is why now the DA-led government finds appetite to address it? There is no better dignity. This is optional and selective. We talk about roads, we talk about health, clinics, cemeteries, community halls, dingabala kuse, but all of this it speaks to white and elite areas, not in the needy areas for the poor. This administration have failed people of Cape Town. No matter how much you can camouflage it, it is seen and we know it is an experience in our township and poor areas. What is really done by the City of Cape Town DA-led government is to impress the social media and other provinces or the country, neglecting their own poorest of the poor people. Sithi ke isiXhosa intyatyambo yendlela ayichumi. This is exactly what is happening. Madam Speaker, what the City of Cape Town is really demonstrating is racism and nothing less than that. By the mere fact that we have two Cape Towns in one city, Cape Town for blacks and poor, it is the one that is given it is one that you have no dignity and poor service delivery. Then we have another one, which is for whiteness, and the one that is all the benefits are going to. You will never find any spills and sewer in their roads. If you do, it will going to be attended with a very high speed. Madam Speaker, the entire budget is just for the public, for social media, our so-called influencer, the mayor, and yet our people have no joy, no taps, no toilet, no service delivery. Economic freedom fighters reject this neoliberal budget.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Quintus.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Am I audible?
Yes, continue.
Thank you, ma'am. Madam Speaker, a city of hope is not built on good intentions, but on roads that hold, buses that run, and pavements that are safe to walk on. It is built on the daily elbow grease of teams on the ground and on the ambition to build public spaces that invite investment and make residents proud. That is what this budget is for. The biggest investment in this budget, and the one I am most proud of, is the expansion of my city through the Southeast Corridor. More than 3 billion rand is allocated to this project in the medium term, bringing us closer to delivering on our promise to connect over 1 million residents with the economic hubs of Wynberg and Claremont. Residents of Mitchells Plain, Lentegeur, Paula Park, Khayelitsha, Nulungile, Gugulethu, Crossroads, Manenberg, Hanover Park, Philippi, Nyanga, Ottery, Strandfontein, and many more will travel on clean, safe electric buses on dedicated lanes built for them. We are investing 574 million rand in new buses and fleet refurbishment, and 10 million rand to formalize stops and repair damaged stations. My city will receive 1.8 billion rand this year alone for daily operations, because the bus service is only as good as its ability to show up every day reliably. And through you, Madam Speaker, to Councillor Badela, to do so in a sustainable manner, exercising sound, responsible financial management for a subsidized public service that does not turn a profit. Madam Speaker, the distance from Cape Town to London is roughly 10,000 kilometers. Cape Town's road network at 10,400 kilometers is longer than traveling from Cape Town to London. Keeping every one of those kilometers in good condition is one of the most fundamental things this directorate does, and one of the things residents notice most directly when it is not done. Almost 600 million rand has been allocated over the medium term for major road rehabilitation in Manenberg, along Oliver Tambo Drive, and Spine Road, in Bontehevel and Eitzig, and on Voortrekker Road between Salt River Circle and Jakes Gerwel Drive. More than 1.9 billion rand goes towards ongoing maintenance, the pothole fixes and routine repairs that make the difference between a road that works and one that doesn't. Now, for traffic congestion, one of our great unifiers and mutual headaches, the thing that brings Cape Townians together, but not in the way we'd prefer, we are investing approximately 654 million rand in targeted congestion relief at Erica Drive in Belhard, Voortrekker Road in Salt River, the M3 corridor, and Barclay Road in Maitland. Less time on the road means more time with family. We have the plans and now the budget to start turning that around. 634 million rand goes towards public transport interchange upgrades because commuters and operators alike deserve spaces that are safe, functional, and dignified. 53 million rand to pedestrian and cycling infrastructure because the City of Hope moves everyone, not only those with cars. 19 million rand in traffic signal upgrades, 114 million rand toward the N2 Edge rehabilitation, and more than 200 million rand in stormwater infrastructure and maintenance, protecting roads and communities from the floods that do untold damages and will take years to restore in some instances. Madam Speaker, hope is not abstract. It lives in a bus that arrives on time, a road that doesn't shake your car apart, a pavement where a child can walk to school without stepping into the street. This budget, Madam Speaker, builds that for Cape Town. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Badruddin.
Good morning, Madam Speaker. Good morning, councillors. Madam Speaker, from the very first day that Mayor Hill Lewis and this DA government took office, we declared that our intention to build a city of hope is one for all. Not in name alone, but through the hard, sustained investment that turns aspiration into reality. And what we table today in water and sanitation is the fullest expression of that commitment. In this term, it is the final and most ambitious installment in our budget of hope for every Cape Townian. Our IDP mandate is clear, Madam Speaker, that Cape Town must be a city where dignity is not a privilege, but a right, where taps run clean and where our waterways are alive, and when no community is left behind because of aging pipes or because of failing infrastructure. For water and sanitation, being a city of hope means investing relentlessly in the pipes beneath our streets, in the plants that treat our sewage, in the aquifers beneath our sands, and in the toilets and taps that give the most vulnerable among us their dignity. It means leaving the city in a fundamentally better condition than we found it. And Madam Speaker, the numbers that I will present to you today before this council show that we have and we will continue to do exactly that. We are spending 570 million rand in this coming financial year on our new water program to protect our city's water supply. This is investing in our Cape Flats managed aquifer recharge, in groundwater programs in Nova Park, in Philippi, in Strandfontein, in Atlantis. We've set aside 8 million rand as well, Madam Speaker, to finalize the foreign new water scheme design specifications, getting it ready to go to market, which will be implemented then through a public-private partnership. Madam Speaker, another ongoing and critical investment is the 1.11 billion rand that we are going to spend in pipe replacements in both water and our sewer networks. Because aging infrastructure is the silent crisis of all South African cities, but not our city. 287 million rand, Madam Speaker, will replace pipes in some communities that include Guguletu, Kraaifontein, Scottsdene, Retreat, and Durbanville, among many others. 68.4 million rand will upgrade bulk water infrastructure throughout the city. 25 million rand will be used to install and upgrade the Voortrekker road mains, which will secure water supply to the central areas of our city, and in addition to that, securing our water supply to Hout Bay and Simonstown with investments of 1.4 and 3.2 million rand respectively. When we consider only our sewer upgrades, Madam Speaker and councillors, 365 million rand will go into securing our sewer network. 19.7 million will go towards the Montague Bulk Drive, in addition to the 365 million, and then in addition to that 17.3 towards the Gordons Bay Rising Main, which will divert sewage around the Strand area towards the brand new pump station which we are building. And in addition to that, Madam Speaker, 86.4 million rand will be spent once again on the Trappie sewer pipeline, which will protect the False Bay coastline. We absolutely cannot forget the 237 million rand, which will be spent on the Philippi bulk collector sewer, which will see the doubling of the diameter of that particular bulk sewer line, which will allow more and more sewage connections to be undertaken in that area so that businesses can grow and that informal settlement investments can be included and expanded in those communities. I must say, Madam Speaker, that not only are these investments essential and necessary for growing communities, but councillors that service these areas must not forget the impact of foreign objects on our sewer network. Where councillors have before me complained of sewer overflows, let them be reminded that it is because of dumping in our sewer networks, it is because of the fact that sewer networks are being abused, that sewage overflows in our communities. But that doesn't stop us in water and sanitation. We are investing in lockable manhole covers in Westbank, Councillor Mamkeli, in Samora Machel, for those councillors who often contact me. And we are investing in manhole protector grid, an additional layer within our manholes to try and protect the sewage networks which run through our city. Madam Speaker, if I consider informal settlements alone, we are investing in, we are again ongoing and expanding our investments in informal settlements across the city. Currently, we service about 27,000 households, and we will continue to service more households in the coming financial year. Communities which will include Joe Slovo, Zwezwe, KTC, Jimsabos, Tabum, Beki, Rimfasmak, and many, many more other communities on that list will be included. When I consider our sewer pump stations, colleagues, 254 million rand will be set aside to invest in our pump stations, which is the backbone essentially of reticulating wastewater from our homes to wastewater treatment works. 239 million rand, councillors, will be set aside to revitalize and refurbish pump stations. And in addition to that, 2.8 million and 2.5 million will be spent at Rappenberg and Witsunds pump stations specifically.
Thank you. Councillor Zumani.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Continue.
Oh, good afternoon, Madam Speaker. Good afternoon, Executive Mayor. Good afternoon, colleagues, and good afternoon to the public. We are here today to speak about 2026 and 2027 human settlement budget. But let's be honest, we are here to talk about dignity, about whether a child in Danone Nyanga, Khayelitsha, Philippi, imizamo yethu, Mfuleni, Gugulethu, Langa, Mining Bag can grow up with a tap, a toilet, and a home that doesn't burn down every summer. Today, we still wonder where Councillor Popey managed to scratch out on the morning of 9th January 2026. Fire swept through 12 million for reblocking after a devastating fire destroyed more than 1,000 informal dwellings inside 5 in Danone. In fact, that fire on 9th January left families without homes, children without school uniform, and it burned the dignity of elders or mothers watched 10 years of work disappeared in 10 minutes. At the same time, we wonder what happened to that money that Mayco member, Councillor Popey, was eager to spend after some residents rejected it partly due to mistrust from past. They rejected this offer when they realized he wanted to move people to a wetland instead of moving them to an adjacent plot meant for the Doornbach housing project, where there is enough space to accommodate them and the project, and where the city and the provincial government can decide who is responsible for it. Madam Speaker, the city has tabled 3.2 million over 3 years for informal settlements upgrade, 370 million for backyards, and 370 million for upgrading projects. We acknowledge the allocation, but a budget is not a delivery. And money on a paper does not stop fire nor even end bucket system, and also does not even give family security. Over 400,000 households live in informal conditions in this city. Many formal settlements are 30 to 20 years old. Our people are permanent and our solutions must be too. Madam Speaker,
At what age does a settlement stop being temporary? If a child is born and graduates in a shack with a chemical toilet, this is a permanent failure. City of Cape Town struggled to spend all allocated grant money, so some gets rolled back. 2022-23 and 2023-24, over 800 million of human settlement went back to national treasure unspent. 2024 and 2025, 100 million for informal settlements upgrades was sent backward, unspent due to poor cooperation. USDG, ISUPG grants are repeatedly underspent. Underspent is unacceptable. As the ANC will raise it sharply that will not accept another year of underspending, delays and temporary fixing for permanent communities. The city says it's enabler, the enable. Every year of delay is another winter in a flood shacks. One shack fire destroys 20 homes. Winter floods displaced the thousands, yet reblocking drainage and electrification move too slowly. City of Hope. Hope without a home is just a word. The ANC can support this budget. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Alderman Ace.
Thank you, Speaker. It is my privilege to present the Corporate Services budget. Corporate Services is the engine room of the city. While many of our services operate behind the scenes, they enable every department to deliver efficiently, effectively, and reliably. A city of hope is built on institutions that function. Corporate Services exists to ensure this city's institutions never stop functioning. Speaker, transformation demands credibility, and credibility is earned through consistent delivery on time, not through declarations, but through results. Today, 2,693 dedicated officials support a city of more than 5 million residents through modern governance, digital enablement, workforce development, and operational excellence. This budget reflects not only our commitment to sound governance, but our proven ability to deliver. Our directorate has consistently achieved, and in most years exceeded, the city's capital expenditure targets over the past 2 decades. Last financial year, Corporate Services became the first directorate to achieve the city's corporate capital spending target 1 month before year end. This year, we raised the bar even higher. We increased our capital budget by an unprecedented 45%, while still achieving the city's 90% capital expenditure target 2 weeks before the financial year concluded. Those are not simply statistics. They demonstrate disciplined planning, sound financial management, and a directorate that delivers on its commitments. Over the next 3 years, we will invest 2.81 billion rand in strategic programs that modernize the city and strengthen service delivery. The largest investment is the 1.75 billion rand core application refresh program. This program will continue to modernize and upgrade the city's digital systems, creating a future-ready platform that improves efficiency, strengthens resilience, and enables better services for all our residents. By pursuing a phased SAP upgrade rather than a full replacement, we have significantly reduced costs while positioning the city for a long-term success. We are also investing 550 million rand in technology infrastructure. Today, our network availability stands at 99%, supporting almost 20,000 users across the organization and ensuring that the city's digital backbone remains secure and reliable. Another priority is the 510 million fleet and plant replacement program. This year alone, we replaced 284 aging vehicles, procured an additional 200 vehicles for safety and security, and completed more than 36,000 maintenance and repair incidents to keep frontline services moving. Speaker, But perhaps our greatest investment is in our people. A capable organization depends on a capable workforce. This year, more than 12,000 officials participated in training and development programs, while over 1,000 youth opportunities were created through apprenticeships, learnerships, and related initiatives. By investing in people, we're ensuring that the city remains innovative, resilient, and ready for the future. Our commitment to good governance is equally reflected in our performance. This year, corporate services supported 227 council and committee meetings, achieved a complaint resolution rate of almost 98%, and maintained full compliance with external audit actions and declaration processes. Speaker, every rand in this budget has been carefully assessed against implementation readiness, affordability, and strategic value. The budget is about responsible stewardship. It's about modern systems. It's about skilled people. It is about enabling better, faster, and more reliable service delivery for every resident in Cape Town. Corporate services may operate behind the scenes, but its impact is felt in every service the city provides. I wish to thank the city manager, the mayor, my directorate management team, and every official within corporate services for their professionalism, innovation, guidance, and unwavering commitment to excellence. Together, we will continue building a capable, modern, and efficient city administration that supports our vision of a city of hope for all. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. Councillor Arnold.
Thank you, Speaker, and greetings to the Mayor and all the councillors. The economic freedom fighters in the City of Cape Town municipality notes and reject the revised operating budget of 47.7 billion and the capital budget of 13.0 billion, which amounts to 87.79 billion for the 2026-2027 financial year. The economic freedom fighters constantly maintain through its founding manifesto and local government manifesto that political freedom without economic emancipation is meaningless and incomplete. Therefore, our analysis is not simply about numbers, but whether this budget advances the economic justice and changes the daily life realities of ordinary citizens. A municipality cannot merely become an accounting institution that collects revenue and balance books while the majority of Cape Town residents are trapped in poverty, inequality, and inhumane living conditions.
Yeah, because remember, I have to leave. When I leave, I have to leave on my South African
municipal functions.
Continue, Councillor Arnold.
The widespread outsourcing of municipal functions through the tender system has weakened the municipality and created opportunities for corruption and waste. Instead of building internal technical capacity, the municipality increasingly rely and spend billions on consultants and contractors to perform functions that should be undertaken by permanent municipal employees. Inside the operating budget are 11.4 billion for contracted services. Today, Speaker, as the economic freedom fighters, we rise not to just debate these figures that is on paper, but to defend and stand up for communities across Cape Town against the unclean DA government that speaks the language of good governance and clean governance while communities experience service delivery decline. Under Mr. Clean Audit, the City of Cape Town municipality has lost its clean audit status, and the Auditor General flagged approximately 1.7 billion in procurement irregularities. The Auditor General gives the City of Cape Town an unqualified opinion with findings and warned that supply chain and procurement controls required drastic improvement. Weak procurement controls, particular shortcomings in review and oversight processes have continued to decline in Cape Town's audit outcome, receiving an unqualified audit opinion with findings for the 2024-2025 financial year. While a clean audit does not necessarily mean equal and constant service delivery, it often lays the foundation for good governance. Recurring procurement-related findings point to persistent weaknesses in internal control, suggesting that preventative measures and consequence management mechanisms remain ineffective in curbing non-compliance and irregular expenditure. But what is exactly going on inside Mr. Clean Audit's inner circle? Over the past few years, under Mr. Clean Audit, Cape Town has seen a former Human Settlements MACO member removed after a police raid linked to tender fraud allegations. An urban waste MACO member publicly called out over the collapse of waste services. 2 MACO members' officers raided in a fraud tender investigation, and now police carried out search and seizure operations at the residence and office of your finance member for serious corruption investigation. Let's rebuild the municipality that works for the people rather than the 11.4 billion provision for contracted services. The future of Cape Town depends on restoring the capacity, integrity, and development character, which must become the center of planning, delivery, and development rather than a channel for corruption and waste. The elections of 2026 will determine the direction of Cape Town for years to come. It will determine whether communities continue to suffer under the DA government or whether a new path can emerge. Cape Townians will determine whether public resources continue to enrich consultants and entrepreneurs or whether they are directed towards meeting the needs of the people. Speaker, communities does not live in speeches. They live in a city that has become unaffordable for too many residents. Rent is rising, rates are increasing, and many residents are struggling to make ends meet. A family in Philippi and a family in Bishop Lavis does not experience Cape Town through a budget document. They experience the reality when there is no money for electricity, when there's sex, and when the houses are flooded or burned down, when sewer run through the backyards, and when the water is disconnected.
Thank you. Conclude.
We are sitting with a healthy bank balance, with bad service delivery in poor communities. We reject.
Madam Speaker, am I audible?
Yes, continue. Thank you very much.
Madam Speaker, the Energy Directorate's budget demonstrates a simple but important principle. Investment in energy infrastructure is an investment in economic growth, service delivery, and the quality of life of every resident in Cape Town. Energy's medium-term capital investment priorities reflect a clear commitment to building a more resilient, reliable, and future-ready electricity system. The Directorate will build on the pioneering work delivered through this term of office through an almost 6 billion rand proposed capital investment over the next MTREF. This investment sits within the city's record infrastructure program and recognizes that a modern economy depends on a modern electricity network. These are not abstract budget figures, Speaker. They are practical investments that residents and businesses will benefit from every day for years to come. Speaker, I would like to highlight some of these spending priorities. We are, Speaker, going to be investing more than 589 million rand to refurbish and extend the life of the Stenbras Pump Storage Power Station, ensuring this strategic asset continues to protect Cape Town from the impact of shocks within the country's power system, while strengthening our own energy resilience. 659 million in renewable energy procurement and programs with the sole focus of being able to buy cheaper energy to further shield residents from the impact of national ballooning energy prices. 183 million to support small-scale and better generation, 320 million in smart metering and grid upgrades, 165 million rand, Speaker, to replace streetlights with energy-efficient LED technology that aims to also improve safety, giving residents confidence that Cape Town is investing for the future. 57 million rand, Speaker, for solar generation and battery storage in Atlantis, and 25.7 million rand to electrify communities that still require access to their formal electricity grid. The single largest component of the proposed capital investment for energy is directed towards upgrading and expanding our electricity distribution network. Reliable grid infrastructure, Speaker, may not always be visible, but it is the backbone of service delivery. It enables new housing development, supports economic investment, accommodates and incentivizes more affordable renewable energy, and ensures that electricity reaches homes and businesses safely and reliably across Cape Town. This budget is also unapologetically pro-poor. We recognize, Speaker, that affordability remains one of the biggest challenges facing many households, and that is why our electricity tariff structure continues to protect those who need support the most. Qualifying households receive up to 60 kilowatt hours of free basic electricity every month, while our Lifeline tariff provides significantly reduced electricity prices for low consumption users. These measures ensure that access to basic energy remains affordable for vulnerable residents. At the same time, Speaker, we have worked hard to shield all Cape Town supplied customers from the full impact of Eskom's electricity prices. Our average electricity tariff increase of 6.64% remains 2.31% below Eskom's increase and compares favorably with several major metros where residents are facing substantially higher increases. Our tariff design, Speaker, also places a greater emphasis on redistribution and protecting lower income households, ensuring that those with the least are not asked to carry the greatest burden. This, Speaker, reflects a caring government who practices responsible financial management and exercises careful planning. Madam Speaker, residents cannot switch on political rhetoric. They switch on electricity. And for parties like the ANC with their partners in local government, such as the EFF, PA, Al-Jama and AIC, through you, Speaker, I want to say the following to those political parties. You sadly have very little credibility because where you do govern, streetlights are being switched off due to massive electricity debt and residents experience regular blackouts. Where you govern, you have an entire shopping list of fixed electricity charges for residential customers, such as a demand charge, a capacity charge, a network access charge, and even an internet-based consumption display charge. Speaker, this budget strikes the right balance between maintaining critical infrastructure, expanding energy security, and protecting the most vulnerable. It is a budget that invests today so that Cape Town remains resilient, competitive, and inclusive tomorrow. I therefore support the city's Energy Directorate 2026-2027 M12 budget. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. Councillor George.
Good afternoon, Speaker, councillors, and the residents of the city of Cape Town joining online. The ANC would like to raise fundamental concerns that this council must seriously consider before even thinking of approving the DA City proposed budget. Therefore, as the leader of society and the people, the ANC rejects this budget in its current form. So dolopu asivumelani nolu hlahlo lwabiwomali. On spare verb, die begroting. A municipal budget is more than a financial document. It is a reflection of our priorities and our commitment to serving the people of Cape Town. It must be fair, equitable, and responsive to the realities facing our communities. The ANC believes that budget allocation should be distributed proportionally based on population size, levels of need, and the socio-economic realities of each ward. The current flat rate allocation of 1 million per ward has proven to be unfair. It disadvantages densely populated wards where service delivery demands are significantly greater than those in less populated areas. Equality is not achieved by giving everyone the same amount. When the needs are vastly different, equity requires that resources follow the people and challenges they face. Somlomo, one of the greatest concerns of the residents of Cape Town is safety. Every day, our communities live in fear of violent crime, gang violence, robberies, and murders, particularly in Cape Flats and surrounding townships. The council allocates a substantial portion of the city's budget to Safety and Security Directorate. The question we must ask is simple. Has this allocation actually made residents safer? The answer is sadly no. Instead of investing wisely in practical crime prevention initiatives, the city pursued what became known as the Eye in the Sky Fantasy Project, a failed multi-million rand initiative that has ultimately become an expensive, wasteful expenditure. No wonder the AG report has put the city of Cape Town in the negative. Udikiwe Auditor General kunenzelela kuba kudlalwa ngemali yabahafi apha kulo masipala waseKapa ophansi kwe-DA. Since its introduction during the 2024-2025 financial year, this project has reportedly cost taxpayers approximately 16.3 million annually. We must ask what value the people of Cape Town receive from this investment. Did crime decrease? Did residents feel safer? Were criminals brought to justice more effectively? Sadly, no. There is little evidence to suggest that this expensive project delivered meaningful improvements in public safety. Instead, the project collapsed after procurement irregularities emerged. Reports indicate that only a single bidder participated in the tender process, with the joint venture awarded approximately 12.9 million, despite concern around procurement compliance. The eventual breakdown of partnership resulted in the project that consumed millions of rands of public money without delivering measurable value to our communities. For the reported operational cost of approximately 60,000 per hour for the aircraft used in this initiative, the city could have invested in additional law enforcement officers, boots on the ground, who patrol our streets, engage directly with communities, and provide visible policing where it is most needed. The city could also have invested these resources into something our communities have consistently requested for years: proper street lighting. This is not merely an opposition view. It is supported by evidence. The Khayelitsha Commission of Inquiry, chaired by Justice Kate O'Regan and Advocate Vusi Pikoli, made clear findings on the relationship between inadequate lighting and crime. The commission found that broken or missing streetlights created dark zones where criminals could operate with ease. Poor lighting restricted the ability of South African Police Service to conduct effective patrols and compromised the security of crime scenes during the night. The commission further noted that the city reliance on HIMARS Apollo floodlights was inadequate for the informal settlements. While these lights illuminate large general areas, they create deep shadows between the densely packed informal structures, leaving pedestrian pathways, narrow walkways, and communal facilities poorly lit and vulnerable to criminal activities. The commission therefore recommended that the city proactively repair and maintain faulty streetlights because municipal services delivery is an essential component of public safety. Install lower level streetlights at regular intervals along pedestrian routes to eliminate dark spaces where criminals hide. Strengthen cooperation between the City of Cape Town, SAPS, and the Western Cape government so that infrastructure investment is aligned with identified crime hotspots. Improve the maintenance and effectiveness of CCTV cameras. In Khayelitsha today, it is reported found that only 4 out of the 24 cameras were operational, and even those produced blurred images or were incorrectly positioned, limiting their usefulness to identify perpetrators. People are being killed under these CCTV cameras, and when investigations are done, they cannot see any perpetrators. Speaker, these recommendations were not political opinions. They were evidence-based findings following extensive investigation into policing and safety in our communities. Yet years later, many of these recommendations remain inadequately implemented. Instead of prioritizing these proven interventions, the City of Cape Town continues to pursue expensive projects that have failed to produce measurable improvements in public safety. As councillors, we have a responsibility to ensure that every rand allocated in this budget delivers value for money. Our residents deserve budgets that prioritize functioning streetlights, well-maintained CCTV infrastructure, visible policing, safe public spaces, equitable service delivery, not costly projects that fail to meet their objective. We still call for localized CCTV camera hubs and monitoring at community level. The budget before us, therefore, be informed by evidence, by oversight, and by the lived realities of our people. The petitioning by the City of Cape Town of devolution of police powers is punching above its weight. We therefore reject this budget. Thank you.
I've taken my time to really pay attention to the debate today, and one thing has become abundantly clear. Some members have spent more time debating Karl Popham than debating the future of Cape Town. And while Councillor Cotier, Haynes and Stevens work and pray daily to get rid of the leader of the opposition and to have him fired before the Secretary General makes him the ANC mayoral candidate for Cape Town, I wasn't appointed to win the ANC's approval. I was appointed to deliver for the people of Cape Town. And while others remain focused on politics, this administration remains focused on building. That, Madam Speaker, is the difference between campaigning and governing. Madam Speaker, every generation is given a choice to inherit a city or to build one. This generation has chosen to build. Every budget tells us something fundamental about a government. It tells us whether we are simply managing today or whether we are building tomorrow. Today, we choose to build. That is why I proudly support this budget, and in particular, the Human Settlements budget vote. Because at the heart of every great city is not simply infrastructure. It's not simply sound finances. It's people, it's families, it's the quiet dignity that comes from knowing you have a place to call home. I've stood with families who have waited years for keys to their homes. I've walked through communities where residents don't ask government for miracles. They ask for dignity, they ask for certainty, and they ask for a government that keeps its word. That is why this budget matters. Because nobody dreams of living inside a budget. They dream of living inside a home. Human Settlements is therefore not simply another directorate. It's where almost everything in the city does come together. Housing is infrastructure. Infrastructure creates opportunity, and opportunity restores dignity. And dignity is where hope becomes real. That is why this budget commits more than 2.8 billion rand over the next 3 years to building sustainable human settlements across Cape Town. We will invest over 1.2 billion rand upgrading informal settlements, nearly 1 billion rand in service sites, 236 million in strategic land acquisitions to deliver more, approximately 1.189 billion rand maintaining and upgrading our council rental stock, and 37.9 million rand restoring dignity through title deed rectification. These investments form part of a broader commitment to integrated human settlements and are supported by the Directorate's record of strong financial performance and delivery. These are impressive figures, but they're not what matters most. What matters is why they are so important. Every service site represents possibility. Every title deed represents security. Every upgraded informal settlement represents dignity. Every home represents a family whose future has become more certain than what it was yesterday. I've come to believe that the greatest infrastructure any city can build is opportunity. Roads connect places. Water sustains the city. Electricity powers our economy, but a home changes the trajectory of a family's life. It's where children study, It's where families build memories. It's where entrepreneurs start businesses. It's where hope takes root. And when families become stronger, communities become stronger. When communities become stronger, Cape Town becomes stronger. That is why housing is not just housing, it's city building. Some have questioned the difficult choices contained in this budget, and that taken by me over my 10 years mayoral committee member. But I believe we are asking the wrong question. The real question is, what becomes of a city that stops building? What becomes of a city that delays infrastructure because difficult decisions are politically inconvenient? What becomes of a city that chooses short-term applause over long-term progress? History answers those questions more honestly than politics and this council ever will. The easiest thing any politician can do is postpone tomorrow's problems. The hardest thing a leader can do is solve them today. And that's exactly what this administration has chosen to do. Under its leadership, Mayor Jordan Lewis asked Cape Town to believe in hope 5 years ago. Hope was not just a slogan. Hope was made visible. Visible in infrastructure, visible in investment, visible in safer communities, and visible in homes. And today, this budget protects that legacy, but it also prepares Cape Town for its next chapter. Cape Town remains South Africa's best-run metropolitan city because we understand something very simple. Good government does not exist to make headlines. It exists to build trust, to build opportunity, to build communities, to build confidence, and ultimately to build a city where every resident, regardless of where they live today, can believe tomorrow will be better than yesterday. As we approach another local government election, our residents will make an important choice. Not simply between political parties, but between two very different ideas of government. One, measure success by the promises it makes. The other, measure success by what it builds to take Cape Town forward for all. We choose to build. We build infrastructure instead of excuses. We build communities instead of dependency. We build for the next generation, not just the next election. Because builders see what others can't. We see tomorrow in the decisions we make today. 20 years from now, our children won't remember today's debate. They won't remember the political grandstanding from the opposition. They will remember whether they could live in a city where they can build a life of value, where the opportunity reached their community, whether they inherited a Cape Town that was stronger than the ones we inherited. That is our responsibility. That is what this budget makes possible. And that, Madam Speaker, is why I proudly support the Human Settlements budget vote. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Alderman Smith.
Chairperson, I'm confirming that I'm audible.
Yes, continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Speaker, the immigration figures show that our city has undeniably become South Africa's beacon of hope, with 120,000 people or more voting with their feet and moving to where opportunity and services are best. This budget makes further important investments in making our city safer. The city has grown its policing personnel by 48% during the term of office to 3,883 officers. And we just completed the largest single intake this past year with over 700 new officers. And imagine what we could have achieved and how much safety we would have created with 1,280 extra officers on our streets, were it not for the fact that the ANC national government stripped 1,300 plus staff from SAPS in the city at the same time. We put resources in on the one side, but on the other side, the ANC is making our communities vulnerable by cutting staff. We continue to invest in the modernization with ongoing investments spanning the term of office for smarter policing, including CCTV, dash cams, body cams, drones, and our computer-aided dispatch. And I'll say something about that in a moment, because clearly these are misunderstood. And Speaker, we can show the impact that these investments have made. So perhaps let me do that through some responses. And to Councillor Jacobs, he unfortunately demonstrates the lack of insight into the systems and processes of council when he refers to enforcement relating to informal traders. When law enforcement or Metro Police undertake enforcement with traders, they're doing their job and doing it well. If you're unhappy that a trader was taken to task, what you're saying is that you believe that trader should have had an informal trading permit for safety and security, for that site. Safety and Security and me as MMC do not issue trading permits. It's not difficult to understand how after 4.5 years in council, you do not understand that. So Speaker, I put it to you that it's Councillor Jacobs who is failing his voters. Instead of doing the hard work and engaging economic growth and getting these traders the permits he believes they should have, he is making ineffectual sermons in council. Let's address the demonstrable evidence of improved safety in Cape Town. Murder in Delft decreased by 22% in the fourth quarter and contact crime down by 9.3%. Downgar contact crime decreased by 7.8% and murder by 30%. Contact crime in Gooks decreased 15.5%. Contact crime in Khayelitsha decreased 19.8%. In the 2026 fourth quarter crime stats, we see that in Philippi, murder has decreased 23%. Contact crime shows a 17% decrease. Grassy Park murder decreased by 50%. Manenberg contact crime decreased by 16.9%. Mitchells Plain murder decreased by 18.5%. In Steenberg, murder decreased by 42% and contact crime by 12%. Across all 4 ShotSpotter coverage areas, a total of 13,000 gunfire incidents were recorded between the start of the project and the end of last year. That overall trend shows a meaningful year-on-year reduction in the gunshot incidents because of the effective and immediate response. Manenberg declined by 32%, Hanover Park declined by 20%, and Yanga recorded a sharp surge in 2024 and then dropped by 45% to the end of 25 in its lowest annual total because of effective use of technology. The city has led innovation nationally and on many technology issues where we see other cities and other spheres of government follow our examples and embrace technology that we have been early adopters of. For instance, the experimentation with the gunfire detection is now moving towards a public-private partnership where we may well see this valuable technology developed locally in partnership with academic and other institutions, and where the benefits will then be able to be shared with the whole of South Africa because Cape Town leads the way. The same with the eye in the sky technology, where national government's about to go out on tender with this, which Cape Town demonstrated as a proof of concept, and which the city SAPs and various national departments and agencies would then share, because Cape Town defines what is possible. To Councillor Oliver from the UIM, I want to say that I support his constructive comment. He's right to point out that we are investing substantially in these services, but I also agree on his insistence on transparency and accountability, and that's why the Safety and Security Portfolio Committee is creating a multi-party subcommittee to ensure accountability in relation to our work on gang violence. We must do oversight over why the criminal justice system fails to convict 95% of the suspects we arrest with illegal firearms, and this subcommittee will help us put pressure on national government to fix it. That said, over the last quarter, despite limited powers and the catch and release criminal justice outcomes, which we do not control, our operational strategy saw serious gang violence reduced from 91 for last month to 44. With Councillor Ahmad, I agree that serious violence, crime and gang violence is a massive crisis in Cape Town and across South Africa. And I do wish that the city or province controlled the primary agency that deals with that SAPS. It's my earnest wish that we could do this and prevent the systematic defunding and slow collapse due to mismanagement. But that is not the case. National government runs SAPS. The national government alone controls the entire criminal justice system, with the ANC in control of each critical department, SAPS, the NPA, and the DOJ, except for the Department Correctional Services, which is run by the Freedom Front Plus. And the Madlanga Commission is one small demonstration of how these departments are all slowly but surely collapsing, and why we should be running them. To Councillor Steenberg, you cannot be mayor if you do not understand the difference between non-financial technical issues raised by the AG and the money going missing, even when the mayor explains it to you in simple pictures. This also applies to Councillor Janse van Vuren and some others who do not understand that the city is the only metro that has had unqualified audits since 2010. To Councillor Mabungani, he mentions that the budget allocated to safety and security should be used to impact on extortion, and I completely agree with him. That's exactly why the mayor is allocating additional resources to our investigations and information management so that we can help impact on this. In the meantime, we are doing additional escorts, and despite having to increase our escorts from 419 to 758 in the last 9 months, we have still achieved with law enforcement 8,537 arrests and increased firearm recoveries to 148 in the same period. So serious delivery challenges. So overall, Speaker, if you listen to the opposition, you would flee our city. Instead, 140,000 people are moving here The same opposition can catastrophize all they want. It simply does not meet the lived experience of people who see the highest level of basic services, lowest unemployment, most houses built, and setting the standards of policing across the country. As an opposition councillor told me when his friend came to visit, he was talking about and marveling at everything in Cape Town and how we are investing across all communities.
Councillor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Andrews.
Thank you, Mayor and colleagues, for correcting the misrepresentation and political exploitation of the AG's report. So to put it in plain language, a clean audit is a municipality getting 100% with no mistakes. A qualified audit with findings is a municipality getting 100% for the answers, but losing marks for the method or presentation. And so, Mayor, I want to thank you for remaining steadfast in your intent. At the beginning of this term, you have been clear that poverty is not inevitable and that a well-run city can push it back through good governance and the right policy choices. That is why we remain focused on driving economic growth through jobs, investment, reliable services, infrastructure delivery, to do what? To restore dignity and to expand opportunity for all of our residents. Madam Speaker, the Spatial Planning and Environment Department spatially leads the city's urbanization response. We look at data trends and draft key strategic documents such as the land use reports and ultimately our spatial Bible, the Municipal Spatial Development Framework. In short, we are planning and investing for Cape Town's future growth. Madam Speaker, we must certainly have a good story to tell. As the Mayor alluded in his address, here in the city of Cape Town, decline is not inevitable. We are aware that Cape Town is a desirable city and is growing fast with approximately 5 million residents. We are honest about the pressures that it brings, including a housing shortfall of approximately 30,000 opportunities each year. We also recognize that real affordability challenges are there, with 70% of our households earning 22,000 Rand and less, and transport taking up a large share of income. And that is exactly why we are planning and acting with urgency to deliver more, invest more infrastructure, and better locating housing solutions. Madam Speaker, with regards to new waters and sewer pipes, we have a good story to tell. We are not just talking about the fact that Cape Town has already installed approximately 401 kilometers of new water and sewer pipes during this term of office, far outpacing Johannesburg at 98 kilometers, Tshwane at 58 kilometers, and Ekurhuleni at 26 kilometers. We are not dwelling on the scale of this investment in critical infrastructure, nor the direct impact it has on reliability, dignity, and long-term resilience for our residents. And yet, these are the facts, Madam Speaker, evidence of a city that continues to deliver at a level unmatched by its peers, even if that is not the subject of today's discussion. Madam Speaker, when it comes to housing, we have a good story to tell. We are not talking only about the fact that Cape Town leads the country with approximately just over 200,000 government-funded housing opportunities completed since 1994, ahead of Johannesburg at just under 180,000, eThekwini at 172,000, and Ekurhuleni at 155,000. We are not focusing on the consistent delivery over recent financial years, nor the sustained effort to expand access to housing opportunities despite the growing demand. And we are certainly not debating the reality that, while 1.9 million households remain on the waiting list across South African metros, including Cape Town, here in the city of Cape Town, we are trying to keep pace through innovation as we manage sustainable growth in one of the country's fastest expanding urban populations. One such example is the city's affordable rental unit program. It is the only plan that we are aware of that responds to informality. Here, the unemployed homeowner is now able to develop their property, build extra housing opportunities for the people who are currently living there in a shack or hockey, but now have a dignified human settlement with services that they have within the settlement itself and not on the periphery, and disposing of the night swell in the responsible manner through the sewer system that is lawfully connected to the city's infrastructure. Madam Speaker, when it comes to activating our planning levers to drive economic growth, create more jobs, the city has a strong and credible story to tell. The planning levers referred to are the inclusionary zoning incentives. We have targeted Cape Town CBD, Belleville, Metro Southeast, Airport Precinct, major public transport corridors, well-located growth nodes near employment centers and transit hubs. Inclusionary zoning seeks to unlock investment by using the planning levers in those areas. Madam Speaker, with regards to the city's investment pipeline, we absolutely have a good story to tell. The Mayor mentioned that we remain a city that continues to invest regardless if the other metros don't. This year, a first for Cape Town, we have already spent more than 10 billion rand of our capital budget. And counting, Mayor, there are still a few more days left in this financial year. One of the most encouraging aspects of this budget is that we are not slowing down. This demonstrates Cape Town's sustained commitment to investing in infrastructure that builds a more resilient, sustainable, and inclusive city. Importantly, our pipeline of projects continues into future financial years, as mentioned by the MACO colleagues earlier in their responses. This provides certainty for communities, for contractors, for investors, and residents alike. This budget is protecting what makes Cape Town special. We are internationally recognized because of our unique natural environment. Protecting that environment is not simply about conservation. It is about protecting tourism, protecting jobs. It's about climate resilience. It is about ensuring that the future generations inherit a city that is greener, healthier, and more sustainable than the one we inherited. Every single cent we invest in biodiversity, in wetlands, in beaches, in rivers, environmental infrastructure, is an investment in long-term prosperity of our city. This is the Cape Town difference. We also understand the impact on our communities and try to protect them at all costs. The real measure of this budget is not in rands and cents, but in the lived experiences, safer public spaces, cleaner beaches. That is what this budget reflects. It affirms our continued commitment to drive economic growth, strengthening environmental sustainment, and improving the well-being of every single resident in the city of Cape Town. We support this budget, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Bandezi? Councillor Bandezi? You are unmuted on the side. You are unmuted. Are you connected to Global Connect? Global Protect? You must unmute on your side. All right, we will wait. Pierre's laptop's got access. You may start when you're ready. Councillor Haynes, is that a point of order? Point of clarity? I don't see anything in the iron box.
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
What is your point of order number?
My point of order goes to the utterances of Councillor Popan.
Okay, that's...
Can I proceed or shall I wait until after Councillor Bandezi before you close the item?
Send an email. There's not a point of order on his utterance. He's not speaking now. You could have asked clarity at the time, but we've moved on.
The public that
We're now on Councillor Bandezi. We've had 2 other speakers since then. So send an email. Thank you. Councillor Bandezi, are you able to unmute on Councillor Pierre's You may start your speech. Councillor Pandezi.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Continue.
Oh,
Thank you.
Oh, thanks. My apologies. My laptop it doesn't want to unmute, but thank you very much for the opportunity. Okay, let me just quickly. Yeah. Madam Speaker, Executive Mayor and Councillors, today we table the final budget of this administration, and we are calling it the City of Hope budget. And why? Because it is about building a city that works. It's about a city that grows and a city that creates opportunity for every resident, and a city where the light of hope still burns, because our people see and experience the DA difference in Cape Town. This City of Hope budget reflects the choices we have made as this administration. We have chosen to invest in infrastructure rather than allow it to deteriorate. We have chosen to expand the we have chosen to expand. What is this? Oh, sorry. We have chosen to expand support for our most vulnerable residents rather than retreat from our social responsibility. The City of Cape Town offers South Africa's most comprehensive social package for struggling households, and as well as the lowest property rate in the rand for residents. Speaker, Cape Town remains the only metropolitan municipality in South Africa that continues to expand its infrastructure investment while simultaneously expanding its social support for vulnerable residents. Our social support package for the current financial year is valued at 5.7 billion rand. We are proposing to increase this to 8.3 billion rand in 2026-2027 financial year. Our expanded rates relief will help to offset the unfortunate consequences of the recent High Court ruling on the city's tariff structure, which has seen an increase in fixed charges for most properties under 2.8 million rand. Madam Speaker, and we have chosen to ensure that every rand entrusted to this council delivers the greatest possible value for Cape Townians. These choices matter because cities do not grow and thrive by accident. They require disciplined financial management and sustained investment over many years. Madam Speaker, take a look at Joburg City. Not only it has regressed over the last 10 years or so, but it has become a disaster. But people of Johannesburg needs to make the right choice on the 4th of November 2026. And that right choice is Helen Zille for the executive mayor of Joburg. And that choice would get Joburg to be the real African city it once strived to be. Speaker, in the 2022-2023 financial year, the city's capital budget stood at 7.8 billion rand. Today, just shy of 5 years later, we are tabling a capital budget of just over 13 billion rand. Do you know how big that is, Madam Speaker? It's a massive 66% growth in just 5 years, and 75% of that Cape Town's infrastructure budget directly benefits lower income households with better water and sanitation, roads, sporting and community facilities, etc., etc. This budget represents an investment in our future that will see our city continue to thrive and grow. Every kilometer of water pipe replaced means fewer best and more reliable water supply. And we see this replacement in all areas because Cape Town works better when it works for everyone. Electricity upgrade means a more resilient network. And Madam Speaker, I want to say to Councillor Kodli, Dalmain Kodli was complaining that as recently as 2 years ago, last year in fact, and according to National Treasury, by the year 2025-2026, the power utility ESCOM will have received a staggering 496 billion rand in bailouts since year 2008-2009. It's just 4 billion rand shy of a R500 billion rand. So if he wants to then to talk about electricity, then he should talk to his comrades at ESCOM. Every housing project, wastewater upgrade, public transport investment and community facility improvement and facility improve the quality of life for thousands of residents, because Cape Town works better when it works for everyone. This investment creates jobs today while enabling economic growth for decades to come. Madam Speaker, recent reporting on the city's 2024-2025 audit outcome has unfortunately created the impression that there has been some broad regression in the city's financial management. That is simply not true. This is, as the mayor indicated earlier, this is the 20th consecutive unqualified audit opinion the city has received since 2006, underscoring that Cape Town is the only metro administration in South Africa built on good governance and careful stewardship of public funds. The Auditor General has confirmed this Cape Town's unqualified and sound financial management. The finding in question is non-financial and relates to process, where the city has a different technical interpretation of the legislation. This should not be confused with the decline in the city's overall financial governance. Yes, Madam Speaker.
I need you to propose your amendment in conclusion, because
yes,
you're going to run out of time.
Indeed, in conclusion, Madam Speaker, I have a proposed amendment to the budget. And I've been asked then to read the following amendment to both the credit control and debt collection policy, that is Annexure 8 of the budget, and the indigent policy, which is Annexure 9 of the budget. The amendment refers to indigency application by tenants of social housing institutions, and I would not really read it, Madam Speaker, because I have signed and it has been supported, the proposal, the amendment rather, by Councillor Brenda Hansen, and has been given to you, or you are displaying it on the speaker. I therefore propose that Council approves the amendments as seen on the screen of these policies by incorporating these paragraphs as item 3 in both the credit control and debt collection policy and the indigent policy. I therefore support this budget. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
All right, the amendment is being flighted on the screen. Can I ask that that while you have a minute to read that, I'm going to just, it's been emailed as well.
Okay. You want me to read it, Madam Speaker?
I want you to read it so that we don't have to
assume.
Yes.
Okay, no problem.
Please read it.
Okay, it's item 3, principles and guidelines. Exceptional circumstances permitting the city manager to exercise the authority referred to in sub item 3.1.s above will be deemed to exist in the case of indigency application by tenants of social housing institutions on condition that the applicant or applicants meet the income indigency threshold approved by council from time to time. 2, such applications are limited to the municipal services contained in this policy, and the applicant or applicants apply in writing for indigent benefits to the relevant social housing institution. And then why? would be in order for the city manager to consider to approve any indigency benefits for social housing institutions tenants in the circumstances outlined in 3.1.x above. The relevant social housing institute must undertake in writing to the city, whether by contract or otherwise, that it will ensure that any indigency benefit approved by the city manager will be carried forward and applied to the applicant's tenant account with the Social Housing Institute. And number 3, reasonable monitor such applicant's tenant account to avoid excessive or unlawful consumption. So that's basically it, Madam Speaker.
All right, thank you very much. I'm going to give the various caucuses a minute to read that, and while I do, I'm just going to go through the number. It has been emailed as well. I'm going to go through the number of councillors because this is a final budget and it requires a majority vote for support. So we have in the chamber ANC 40, DA 127, ARA 2, ACDP 4, AIC 1, Aljamar 3, CCC 6, Cape Exit 1, CMC 1, DI 1, EFF 9, Freedom Front Plus 4, Good 9, PA 3, PA. Who was thrown out? PA 3, PAC 1, and UIM 1. That gives us a total of 214 councillors. Councillor Admiral was removed. Okay, 11:59. All right, so that's, you have 7 speakers, Councillor. You need to clarify that with the Secretariat. Okay, we'll come back to that. Thank you. So now we have the amendment. We'll vote on the amendment first. We have a proposer and a seconder. Can we remove the amendment? The amendment is carried. Okay, it's legally compliant and it's been signed by the legal services. So now we put the substantive motion as amended. Those in favor of the recommendation, thank you. Those against the recommendation, kindly indicate. Our TCC against, EFF against. The recommendation is carried. Aljamar is against. It will all be on the minutes. Okay. Thank you. The ANC is abstaining. Thank you. All right. Would you like another half a minute before you change? Okay, Councillor Haynes, you and Councillor Peter need to decide.
In the half minute you are giving us, we rejected.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much. All right. Oops. Oh, now you're abstaining. Okay, we'll let us know so we can correct the minutes. Okay. Okay, Councillor Haynes, we have oops. So is it against? Thank you. All right. We move on then to the next item. The budget is officially carried. The next item is SPC 5 with recommendations on page 1160 to 1161. And our first speakers on that item, Councillor Jacobs, your hand is up. Is this on a point of order or a point of clarification?
Speaker, am I audible?
Yes.
No, it's just to record ARA against because I have some complications typing, so I don't know what's wrong, but just to inform you that we are against the.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, the first speaker is Councillor Bam.
Good morning, Speaker. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Carry on.
Executive Mayor and fellow councillors, as EFF, we support the approval of the grant in aid funding allocated to the 3 NGOs operating within the Selores Pass community. Today, we are not just voting on a budget line item, we are voting to throw a lifeline to our people. This funding will directly empower local NGOs to tackle 4 critical interconnected crises on the ground: drug and substance abuse, human trafficking, unemployment, matriculant assistance. Speaker, the city grant in aid policy exists precisely for this reason: to partner with grassroots organizations that have the trust and the heart to do the work where the state cannot. These NGOs do not operate for profit. They stretch every single cent to feed, educate, and protect and uplift. By approving this grant, we are directly investing in the human dignity and safety of the Selores Pass. We cannot talk about building a safe and inclusive city if we do not fund the very organizations fighting on the front lines of social decay. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Serfontein.
Can you hear me, Madam Speaker?
Yes, continue.
Thank you. Good day, colleagues, Executive Mayor, and everyone present. Madam Speaker, today's item of the 25-26 grant in aid allocation, as recommended by Sub-Council 8 and supported by the Grant in Aid Technical Committee, we hereby ask that Council approve the recommendation as set out in Annexure A for the Sub-Council, and I am glad to hear that the opposition do approve it. So we would like to hereby approve the recommendation and so move. Thank you.
Thank you. Then we have the recommendation. Can we move the recommendation? Thank you. All right. Anyone against the recommendation, please put it in the iron box for item SPC 5. Yes. Mr. Mayor, before we go to volume 2, you indicated you wanted to speak, and I unfortunately didn't see it until now. So would you like to use that opportunity?
Madam Speaker, it's always my practice to welcome new councillors to our council, and I neglected to do that this morning, much to my own disgrace. And I really apologize for that, because this was a really important, very exciting one to welcome. It is a great pleasure to welcome the former leader of the opposition and the leader of the ANC in the Cape Town region, now a councillor taking his seat for the Democratic Alliance. It's a pleasure to welcome Councillor Banele Majingo to council, Madam Speaker. That's all I wanted to say, and thank you very much.
All right. And then while we at it, we also had a new councillor, Councillor Stevens, who was inaugurated this past week. So welcome to Councillor Stevens. Thank you. We move on to volume 2, and the first item and only item is SPC 6. The first speaker there is Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Speaker. This really is an eye-opener. When the CID proposal landed on my desk, I thought it was a no-brainer. The public participation process showed a community vote of over 60% in favor. I assume the Tambour's Kloof community wanted this, so I didn't think there was too much more to it. However, just a few days before our spatial planning meeting, we all received an email from a law firm representing the community, respectfully asking the city to stop the CID process until blatant irregularities had been addressed, to which they attached a list of problems. I decided to contact the community to find out what exactly the problems were. What I discovered was deeply concerning. It turns out that the Signal Hill CID, which we are about to vote on now, which was put forward in November of 2025, is a new name for a previous proposal called the Tambour's Kloof CID, which was put forward to that same community in February of 2025. According to the City of Cape Town's own documents, the new Signal Hill CID plan is materially different to the old Tambour's Kloof CID plan, which was presented to the community 9 months earlier. However, it turns out that there has been no new public participation for this new proposal that sits before us here today, even though it is fundamentally different to the old one that the public voted on. But now it gets even more crazy. The public participation, which was conducted on the previous Tambour's Kloof CID, failed massively. It only got about 30% of the community voting in favor of it. So what's going on here? Why does this one show over 60%? Well, it turns out the DA decided to change the boundaries of the CID proposal, redrawing the lines of it to cut out houses that had voted no and to selectively include those houses that had voted yes, until the legal threshold percentage required to approve the project of over 60% was reached. So can we all just let that sink in? Let me finish by summarizing. We have an old CID plan that failed terribly. The city then changed the plan, provided no new public participation to the new plan, and then changed the voting boundaries of the old plan to make it look like 60% of the community were in favor of it. This is absolutely insane. How many other projects have the DA done this on? If this is not what a dictatorship looks like, I don't know what is. Thank you.
The next speaker is Councillor Kasim.
Greetings, Speaker, and all our honorable attendees. Speakers, may I proceed, please? Speaker, may I proceed?
Yes, continue. Sorry.
Oh, okay, thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, the legal process was followed. The steering committee still achieved that required more than 60% support. I think when councillors get involved in discrediting the process of establishing this and also, you know, when councillors actively deter people from participating in this process, doesn't set a very good standard in terms of our code of conduct for councillors. Speaker, the objections have been provided, the objectives rather have been provided several opportunities to engage with the steering committee, and all the objections were considered, was all responded to in detail. And despite their best efforts to convince those in favor to vote against, they were still not able to bring the support under the 60%, which is the amount needed for the city to proceed. The department even considered a change from the consent to the objectives after the closing date, but the support still reached 60% in favor of the establishment of the SID. The Tambour's Kloof interest group, let's just get to that interest group. While members of the local community and other interested and affected parties are entitled to participate in the public participation process contemplated in section 6 of the bylaw, it remains unclear, based on the various correspondence submitted via this Tambour's Kloof interest group, the TIG, whether any of its members fall within the categories of local community members, interested and affected parties, and or proposed additional ratepayer. Accordingly, it's uncertain whether the pro-CID decision has any direct or adverse implication for this TIG. So in the absence of clarity regarding TIG's memberships and its composition, the entity for present purposes be regarded as an anonymous grouping. So the grouping which we're objecting, this is an anonymous grouping with indeterminate standing in relation to the application. And to note that their submissions were also submitted outside of that prescribed period. I think just to get, Speaker, if there's sufficient time, just to get some of those issues raised. I know it was something about the change, the boundary was illegal. The SID bylaws, not this prescribed The SID bylaw does not prescribe how the boundary must be determined. This is the community initiative. This is the steering committee that decides on that. Then also, our respected Councillor Miller mentions the unlawful carrying of votes, this material change of the SID. I just want to say that it was one process from the start. The votes were never carried over. In addition, property owners were provided with an opportunity to change their votes. Speaker, I conclude and say that the city is satisfied that the steering committee has followed due process, has responded to all of the objections, and has completed all the legal steps to compliance within the bylaw and the policy in terms of this registration. Speaker, I move for the adoption of this recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. So those in favor of the recommendation, thank you. Those against, please indicate, or thank you. The recommendation is carried. We will minute the against accordingly. Councillors, that takes us to the end of this agenda. And so item 7 was agreed. And so before I adjourn the meeting, I want to just advise that Council goes into its winter recess at 5 o'clock this evening until 8 a.m. on Monday morning, the 20th of July. This is in line with the recess period set out in the approved 2026 Council calendar as amended. During this period, the Executive Mayor, after consultation with the City Manager, has the authority to exercise any powers of the Council and or its political structures, subject to various conditions being set out in the delegations. As a means to enable the exercising of recess powers, I require your agreement with the above proposal. Thank you. Supported. Thank you. Then that concludes the meeting, and our next meeting will be in July. Thank you very much.